What's up, guys? I think we're good. If you could just bear with me for a second. Seems like the webcam's good today. Grainy as ever. If you can hear me, just let me know, please. Obviously, people are just kind of, you know, trickling in as we speak. So I wanted to just wait for people to get in here. I could put out a notification if I need to, but typically we're good. But yeah, interesting game. Like I said. What's up, Phoenix? I hope you guys can hear me. What's up, Snoop? Like I said, hopefully you can hear me. I'm imagining you can. Usually someone will let me know immediately. And yeah, basically last time when I went live, it always just defaults to OBS. Sorry if I'm out of breath. I just got home, but uh, it goes to OBS Studio, and it it'll launch from there if I don't click webcam. And even when I do, sometimes it defaults there. Oh, perfect. You can hear me. Yeah, what's up, Amelia? I remember you. I hope you're still doing good, Amelia, and I hope you and your dad enjoy the game. It should be a good one, this Chiefs Bucks one, or Chiefs Bills. I'm sorry. And yeah, I hope you're doing good, Amelia. And it's good to see you guys. This is a cool one because I didn't. I was at the hospital with my stepfather, and they had the game on there. So I probably got more of an opportunity to see the game than typically. And boy, what a game that was, huh? I thought for sure because I had the Lions covering, of course. I thought for sure they were going to pull the nonsense where they were going to give them the 2 point conversion. So it would have been a push or a clip. So anyone that took -6 or even 6.5 wouldn't have got paid out. That's just what I thought would happen. I was shocked when the referee did not call that penalty, which really was a penalty. So it went our way. Oh, no problem, Amelia. Enjoy the game. Whoever you're rooting for, I hope they do good. Oh, thank you so much, Snoop. Yeah, so honestly, oh no, you're good, man. And I never like to trauma. They call it trauma dumping, but you know me, I'm just transparent. So if I'm not putting out a video when it's for like the normal reason, I explain why. Just these, if you guys have experience with emergency rooms, sometimes they can be very incompetent. So they weren't watching them the way they should have been. You got moved to the ICU, got moved back out, and things are looking good now. But it's just ridiculous as far as that they basically wait for someone to croak and then they step in instead of actually treating something immediately. And that's the doctors too, just from my experience. Uh, I live outside of like a couple nice cities like Orlando, Tampa, but I'm not in those cities. So what happens is like we get I guess the doctors that aren't good enough to work in Tampa General or work in Orlando. We get those guys. So it kind of sucks living you know outside of a big city because of that reason. You have to go to a big city to get good help. But anyway, we could talk about the game, sure. Thank you to the people who are being nice and saying, good call. And thanks, Aiden. Thank you, Vegas dude, all you guys, Shane. So basically, uh, I didn't know. Again, the cover was not something I was like, oh, they're definitely covering. I just thought Baker was either going to do amazing or absolutely terrible. And obviously, it was closer than we thought it was going to be. But yeah, like what was his first throw at interception and his last throw was an interception. Throws it right to the guy, and then he does the old "Oh no," what did I just do? And he should have been doing "Oh no" the second that ball left his hands because he led the linebacker right to the ball. It was just such a bad throw. So I feel like the that helped us out. But yeah, it was a good hit. We're so far 3 for 3 on the playoff weekends. We got all the winners and we got the covers. If you're in the Discord, then we got the Niners live at plus 260. So we're doing really good. That's always nice. And yeah, Vegas, dude, some games I wasn't in love with it. I went into how this took me the longest to pick of all the games just because I could see the Baker Mania. But you saw the announcers when the Lions got it done. Oh my goodness. This is the first time in what 75 years since 1957. So I just thought, okay, they're probably going to side with that more than a one-off quarterback. And then I thought about it more. Brady just won with the Bucks, right? And the whole thing was, okay, Belichick didn't need Brady. Brady needed Belichick, or flip that. You know what I mean? Belichick needed Brady, and for him to go to the Bucks and then leave, and then Baker to do the exact same thing would completely undermine and diminish what Brady had accomplished. So I just didn't think they were going to put Baker in that same position where now he's in the NFC Championship looking just as good as Brady. And they're talking about Trash, whatever his name is. I feel like he's going to be uh, definitely used next year. They'll say Baker's hurt. He'll probably back up somewhere else. Baker's like a great in wrestling. They call them holdover champions, where there's like a champion like Samoa Joe in AEW. WWE has a few. A champion that basically just holds the belt. Like I said, we haven't missed yet. And by the way, I didn't put this out in my video because I didn't realize it until after I did the video. The over under being at 45 and a half. My advice: slam the under. I just don't think. Yeah, like interim exactly. He's like an interim champ. He's always like good to hang around, but not really a guy that's going to be there for a while. But yeah, the Bills are leg three. I know you asked me twice why I like the Bills eight, and I'm going to go into that in 1 second. I just want to finish up on uh, the Brady Baker thing. Yeah, I just don't think Baker is going to be hanging around too long. And the over under on the Chiefs, I don't care what the weather is. I don't care if it's a monsoon, a snowstorm. It's Allen versus Mahomes. This game screams, and that's why I'm worried about the cover. I could see 23-21, but I'm thinking 24-20. They might give us the Romo score again. He's calling the game. But yeah, it's going under in my opinion. Why do I like the Bills, Aiden? It's because of a few reasons. The first is, in my opinion, the most obvious. They're pitching the Chiefs as having a down year, a disappointing year, and I feel like you just finished that off by having them go out earlier than they ever have. This is the first road playoff game ever. They lose it, and it's just a down year after Mahomes. Brady had a down year. People forget he won a Super Bowl, then he missed the playoffs, and then he won two more Super Bowls. So that's the reason. That's one of the reasons. Another is while Manning did lose to Brady more often than not, it was still somewhat competitive. I feel like you have to give Allen something. If you're going to push this guy, it's been multiple years. The Chiefs have gone 6 times in a row to the conference championship. By the way, the Bills won 6 games in a row, and they were all too eager to point that out on ESPN. They put the articles up right next to each other, letting us know the 6-6. But I think it's time for the Bills. It's high time. A few people brought up the greatest story that'll ever be told, this comeback that the Bills have had, and I do get this Swift Mahomes argument, but again, eventually they're not just going to keep winning because they have Mahomes. I do think he'll win a few in a row. I think it's going to be a case of he probably misses this year, maybe the Super Bowl next year, but then he's going to get 2 out of 3 again. That's just what I think happens. Like, I could be wrong. I said a million times I'm way more open in the AFC than the NFC, so I am way more committed to the Niners than I am the Ravens. Even though I like the Ravens a lot, they're my pick. If someone told me it's going to be Niners Bills, I wouldn't say, oh, that's I couldn't see that. But if somebody said, oh, we're going to see Dallas or whoever it was in the NFC versus Kansas City versus this, that I wasn't really too subscribed to. I just feel like it's definitely going to be the Niners. And at this point, they're getting short odds. So there's probably going to be way more money on the Lions, if I'm being honest. At least they'll be more of a liability. 7 point. Yeah, I do agree with that. And it does seem like they want people on Detroit here. It could be a win no cover for sure because again, the Niners have been tricky. And again, Debo's out. We saw how they just barely beat the Packers. So why would they be 7 over the Lions? It makes no sense in my opinion. Oh, that's Bills night. I just thought about that. Is pretty interesting, Phoenix. Sometimes you get some of the craziest. Oh, the under is what I'm playing. I didn't bring it up in my video, Dave. Under 45 and a half. I love that play. I like the Bills to cover, but I really like that under as well. In my last video I went over, I did settle on Bills. I think the Bills are going to get it done. But yeah, the OJ Bowl, that would be pretty interesting. I forgot. I didn't know he played for the Niners, to be quite honest, but it isn't. I thought the Bills Niners had some credence because it's gold versus the bill in an election year. So, in my opinion, it just makes sense that you're going to have. They did it kind of with the Heat and the Nuggets. I feel like the gold versus the dollar standard in a political year is interesting. I just like the Ravens. I saw Dave said he hit a parlay. That's good job. I'm sorry you lost route. And Neo, I wouldn't need to. Like, here's the thing: these guys just want drama. At the end of the day, I'm would I fight a lunatic in a cage match? Sure. There's nothing I would never do. I would be more than happy to. The problem is, again, these people, they everything they do is underhanded, and they don't have the same. You could read some of my emails that he sent me, some of the messages. They don't have the same attitude. I don't know if you watch Andrew Tate, but people will talk all this shit about him. I'm not making a comparison, but you can just see people's true colors. But then when they're talking to him, or you see conversations that they've had about him, they change very, very drastically. The tone of their voice isn't there. All of a sudden, they're not as raucous as they were. They're not as confident. They're not as over the top. And it's because we live in a world of keyboard warriors, right? So you have people like Jake the Asshole who can just go on these, maniacal diatribes. And they know, Mike Tyson said it best. He said, we live in a world where people don't understand that they basically can say whatever they want without getting punched in the face. We need to get back to a place where acting a certain way will get you punched in the face. Because the way this guy acts, if he acted like that in public in the wrong area, he'd get punched in the face, he'd stop doing it. But when you have someone that's just doing it on a YouTube channel, they know they're going to get away with it. You see these prankster channels, you see these drama channels, and these people they're overcompensating. They're just, in my opinion, small, weak humans who the best thing that in their mind that they can do is be negative on Twitter and things like that. So, sure, I definitely would. He probably is Snoopy because that's the kind of stuff Jake pushes. Oh, this guy, I challenge him to a boxing match. I've probably been invited to a few, but they do that. They challenge each other to fights. They talk about all sorts of nonsensical high school stuff, and then at the end of the day, they don't even stand by it. Again, it's all just screaming and that's why I think I irritate them so much because as hard as these other channels try, of course you're going to be perturbed, you're going to be annoyed, but they don't get under my skin in a way these are that they try to. I see other channels, they start going back at 'em, oh, I'm going to get you. You bet I'm going to find out where you live, all these different things. Then that channel gets shut down. That's all these people want. They want me to get all angry and because I don't know. I grew up watching George Carlin. Takes a lot to get me offended. There's things that annoy me, sure, but at the end of the day, it's not going to get under my skin. So they just stop doing it and they move on to the next person. TMK match with you teamed up with Zachary Herbert. So Neil, you'd have to elaborate. As somebody pointed out, I'm guessing you're affiliated with Jake. You know Jake in some way because I've never seen you before, and now you're just making these accusations. The one thing I said when asked about Zachary Hubbard is I said the guy never gave me any problems. I didn't know Zach and Jake had a problem until you just brought it to my attention. So that tells me that I am not an outlier. Jake seems to be the common denominator in people having problems. And when that happens, again, it's usually pretty revealing. So if Jake's having problems with Pat Truther, who I did have problems with, so it's not like we're all perfect. But he's also having problems with Zach, who I've never had a problem with. He's having problems with me. He's having problems with other small channels. Then maybe it's Jake that's the problem because I'm not having problems with everybody. It's really a few narcissists in this sector that I think they're controlled opposition and they work together. But yeah, I don't even know who Zach Herbert. I've never had a conversation with him. I said what I can say about Zach is he's never blindly attacked us. He's never stalked our channel. He's never copied our pics. These are things that Jake and Pat did do to us. That's why I thought they were actually colluding in the beginning. Turns out they can't stand each other. But yeah, Neo, you'll have to elaborate. If you want to just keep spewing nonsense, that's fine. But Zach is one of the very few people I haven't had any kind of conversation with. So if you can enlighten me into his and Jake's beef, that would help a lot. Yeah, Snoop. We get a lot of people like that. It's because I banned Jake and all the people. Like, there's this. Then he made a new account. They wind up making burners or just someone on the channel. He's like, hey, go over there. He's going live. Go in there. They do it all the time. But I just let him talk. I'm not a fan of censorship. I literally just blocked Jake and the channels themselves because every third comment you'd be seeing would be him just trying to completely screw up the chat. Dallasification, we got them all so far. We had the Ravens covering because CJ Stroud had the audacity to mention Jesus. We knew he was cooked. We had the Packers covering in a game that the Niners would barely win, which came through nice. And today we had the Lions covering, which came through. Our fourth and final pick is the Bills to cover. And I did add at the beginning of the stream here, I think the game's going under because it looks like a trap if I've ever seen one. So we're doing really good. Yeah, I agree, Shane. I think most people do. He put out a video, quote, exposing me, and like 100 people, I'm not kidding, 100 people subscribed in the next day or two and told me that they had seen his side, his account, his very stable account. And then they said, you were expecting all these different things from your channel. And then you were just very normal and you explained things and you went into games and we realized this guy's unhinged. So he, like, literally, his own audience left him and started watching me because they thought he was a nut job. What's up, Triple Mike? It's good to see you, Peter. Thank you for the well wishes for my stepdad. I always appreciate it. And no problem on the leg, too, man. Like I said, I liked the Niners. I didn't like it quite as much as the Bills. I think, again, the Chiefs are going to have a down year. It makes sense that it would happen now. So, in my opinion, we're going to definitely get the. I feel like we're going to get the Niners. I know a lot of people don't want to see them in the Super Bowl. I get that, P. The thing is, they've been knocking on that door, and with Mr. Irrelevant. So now we have, and this is why the Niners had to win this game, because now we have Mr. Irrelevant versus the number one pick in the draft. Like, you have to script that. That is like the mathematical impossibility of that. Not impossibility, but the mathematical and very implausibility of that happening. It is so finite. It's just something you would almost have to script. You'd have to have like 1,000 years of football to finally get where you have the number one versus what is it, the 262nd or 261st, whatever pick it is, 216 or something like that. It's just absolutely insane. I did see Lorenzo. I think you're the one who commented that before. Covering golf like Bali. I did cover golf before Neo. We did pretty good. I called Wyndham Clark to win. You could watch that video. At the time, he was like 15 to 1. I put out a video, and it wasn't gematria because I don't use gematria. I use symbolism. And it was interesting because he played a Wyndham tournament. But I just liked him. The game he was playing, I think it was a Wells Fargo Cup or something. Might have been the U.S. Open. And I did a video on Wyndham Clark. Now we haven't got them all, but we've done pretty good with golf and tennis. And I don't know who Bali is either. So again, you're I guess you're just assume I know these guys. I genuinely am an independent guy. I don't work out of a production studio with like three other guys like a lot of these other channels. It's just me. So, if you could elaborate on who these people are, that would help too. No, you're not late. We just started, Pete, so that's good. And the white jerseys, Lorenzo. Yeah, that's interesting. I know they a lot of times they'll change a jersey. They'll wear a retro jersey, things of that nature. And when that happens, I do notice a lot of times like they'll lose or win in unison. But I didn't notice that until it was brought up, so that's always interesting. What's up, LGTL? Yeah, not much, man. Just looking forward to this game. I got it where I can kind of tilt my head and see what's going on. Again, I'm predicting 24-20, something like that. 23-20, maybe. We could get clipped, unfortunately. I could definitely see that. I say 2.5 is the new 3.5 because of the 2 point conversions, all these different things, missed extra points. I think it's definitely going under, and I like the Bills to win. Bally Sports. Are you talking about? Oh, okay, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is he talking about the sports book, the Vegas? I'm just a little confused here. I looked at some of the NBA games. There's nothing that jumped out to me, to be honest. If you gave me the lineup and spreads, like the other day, someone last live stream, someone said Raptors are playing the Warriors, and the Raptors are like a 2 point favorite, and I said slam the Raptors, and they won, just because it was a trap. But I didn't see any that jumped off the page at me. Just that I thought were like really suspicious. So if there's any, you could let me know. Oh, thanks. I appreciate it. This is like an old. I've had this shirt for a while actually. Yeah, it's one of those just like brush couture type deals. It's actually really comfortable too. I wear certain shirts because of comfort, and others aesthetically. But normally I just wear like a white tee or something. But this was hanging around, and I thought, what the hell? I try and custom made shirts are really cool, but they're so damn expensive. But it's cool to get shirts like that nobody else in the world has. I always feel like that's a pretty cool thing. This game, I'm telling you, they set it up early. By the way, with that missed pass interference call, just a little seed being planted. I'm sure most people watching that said, "Oh my goodness, that was definitely a pass interference." in the end zone for the 2 point conversion. So now people are just going to be, I think, primed and ready to go all after the referees, and that's what they want. They want people's attention on the refs, not the players. So people aren't paying attention to Baker making a horrible throw on purpose. They're probably paying attention. Oh man, had they given them that 2 point conversion, this whole game could have been different. And people are still gonna, get mad at Baker, but it happens all the time where a referee call will completely alleviate the player of anything that he did wrong. And what's up, Dwayne? You're at work now. Well, hopefully it makes it go by a little quicker for you, man. Always not fun to be working if you're trying to watch the game and stuff. But so for me, I used to look at those videos where they're like, you have to always be doing something, you have to always be grinding, and I'm like, oh, these stupid alpha videos. But there is a lot of merit to it. Just working as much as you can. Just always, whether it's financially or going to the gym, whether you're just doing something where you're doing something productive, it really does. Your days go by faster. You start feeling better. So I don't know what you do for work, man, but hopefully you're having fun. And like I said, I'm pretty sure like in a few years, like half the world's going to be on unemployment because it seems like that's where they want people to work, like to be. Where it's again, you're just dependent on getting just enough to get by. Nobody wants to work, and you see how they've done it before. So I wouldn't be surprised if they tried it again. I'm curious your guys' opinion on the Bills Chiefs. Usually, when I bring up the Chiefs, yeah, Dwayne, it's like a lost. It's crazy. Work is like a lost art, but it kind of is. Where there's a lot of ways you can make money. Like I don't know, there's so many different ways that you can have inflows of money coming in, but just doing something where you're improving every day, it helps so much. Neo, it depends, man. It really depends. If you're running a business, you better be working 60 hours a week. If you're a nurse, you're going to be working 60 hours a week. If you're a doctor, yeah, because you're going to be doing hospital visits. It depends on what you're doing. If you're just working in retail and you just want to get by, then no, you work 20, 30 hours, you work what you can. That's a subjective question. There should be no mandate on how much you could or should work. But if you mentally can handle it, then yeah, why not? You'll be happy in the long run, unless you have to just. I always say it's health and wealth. You have to balance them. So you could argue this is, but I don't like to because I don't think I'll ever consider myself a YouTuber. About a little less than a year ago, just because I was in a good enough spot, I was working at sales for a while, and I just had to take a sabbatical. It is soul suffering. No, I'm not a professional gambler, Neo. I wouldn't say that. Again, sports betting is a way you can make money on the side, just like poker, other things like that. But to be a professional, it's, in my opinion, you can compare it to stocks and such, but I like to have complete control over the majority of my income. So no, sales would be my professional job. It became so soul sucking. I just had to stop. You have to be very. It's cold calling, and it was energy. And my first year, I was making six figures. The problem is, you have to basically harass people, and then you learn you're not being too honest. Then you learn people are losing money, and their electric bills are going way up, and they keep you in the dark in the beginning. But it's like anything else. You start figuring out, okay, this is a scam. So it's so soul sucking that to me, it's not worth it. I would rather just, if I needed to, I'd go and start pushing carts. And nothing wrong with pushing carts. I'm just saying, and making considerably less than going back to sales. It's just never going to be worth it in my opinion. And some people like sales. I wouldn't mind doing some inbound sales, but again, like the sales that I've done in the past, did not love. Not solar, no. It's green energy. It's nonsense. I'm sure you know. Basically, they do a meter. So if you're a business and you upgrade to green energy, you are taking excess amount of coal and such out of the environment, and you'll get a green friendly business plaque. All these different things. It costs more. Again, I did very well because I got so many people to get green energy. But then I started feeling shitty. You have to reflect. And some people, I said before, I never like to be a hypocrite. So, if I come to a spot like that where it's like, okay, at this point, I'm almost confident nobody's benefiting from this, then it's just something I don't want to do. Now, if it was something that people are coming in and they want to buy something and you're just helping them, I'd be open to do sales there. But I took a sales sabbatical for a while. What's up, Steve? I'm glad to see you, man. I know you always have some good live alpha in the Discord. I'm imagining we did good today. I know you got the Packers cover and the Niners clipper or the Niners money line with me, so good job there. I call those super hedges where it's like, you're probably going to hit both halves of it. It's always nice. Yeah, the trap. I'm not sure if you're talking about the game or if you're talking about yeah, okay, the game because you say Bills 2.5 whole game, first half 2.5. It could be. I am worried about like a 1-2 point game. That does have me a little concerned. But at the end of the day, we did good so far. We're 3 out of 3. I think we're gonna finish it off. What's the next one after a hat trick, a sombrero trick, whatever we get. I think we're gonna do well. And I just feel like Bills Ravens makes more sense. Again, you have to push other teams. You can't just push one team. Even LeBron, the great LeBron, misses the playoffs now and again. So Mahomes is gonna be there again. Oh, you didn't take? I thought you did. I thought you told me you got him at like 250. Maybe you said something else, but I thought you did. Green Bay 9.5, the first half, and the under 20. Okay, someone else got the both edges, which was cool because it's always nice to get both. It's the worst when you miss both. But that's why I should hedge more. I don't hedge enough, and it's just again it's greed because you have a guaranteed profit, and I could take it, and it's like oh I'm gonna let it ride, and then a lot of times you don't get it. And with my system, I always like to guaranteed profit. Yeah, Dwayne, this is how you know it's like wrestling, it's like Roman Reigns, the tribal chief, right? You can't really rule the guy out no matter what. They could do whatever they want with the Chiefs, but people know that they've been established as the face of the league. When it was going on with Brady, people were still waking up. People like to pretend they always knew it was rigged. The first game they watched, they called bullshit. No, I mean it took us all different times to come to that determination. That's another problem I have, Neo, with these other guys that you loop me in with. These guys pretend that they found fire one day back when they were 15, knew that the league was rigged, and woke everybody else up. That's just not the case. People woke up collectively, and people realized it for different reasons. So that's another thing that these a lot of these people will pretend like, oh, I'm the guy who brought everybody to the light. It's not about one guy. It's about the good thing is you go on ESPN.com. Every third comment is them calling it scripted. That's how you know everybody is seeing what's going on. Oh, Gronk? Are you talking about? Yeah, there is a connection. There's a giant connection between the two of them because, again, they're both sports entertainment. They both share the ESPN platform, and now you have UFC merged with WWE, and more importantly, the NFL's been copying the WWE's playbook for years now, as far as branding, as far as booking, as far as how their announcers plant seeds, how they cut camera angles so you can't see players screwing up. It's absolutely absurd. That's another thing, Snoopy. Like a lot of these people now, I'm not sure if you're talking about the ones who are saying it's scripted or not, but you'll have people that say it's scripted, but then they're like wearing their Bears jersey, and it's like, okay, which one is it? Now I understand you can have a favorite team and also think it's scripted, but you'll have people talking like it's scripted, but then they'll be using nothing but football knowledge as far as why a team's going to win. I used to see that all the time. I have a very interesting demographic because you have like the scripted sports guys, and then you have like the handicappers. And since I cover both, I'm in like right in the middle. So I'm in the middle of like people I've never heard of, but there's like like parlays and picks, Johnny's picks, Tony's picks, whatever. And then you have the what I call the cesspool of narcissists. Your Jake the assholes, your Lobos, your Pat Truthners. They all hang out together, do the same type spiel. Again, Zach. I don't know anything about him. I don't even know the name of his YouTube channel, if I'm being honest, because I don't know if he has one. I've never been recommended him, and if I have, I wouldn't know it was him because I've just never seen his name outside of people telling me about him. But yeah, Snoopy, whether it's like they think it's real or fake, it's sad to watch people. You saw the crying Lions fans when they won. They finally like won and they were crying. They gave them free tickets. It's sad to see it. These people they spend a lot of money, and they're either doing it because they want to go to the games, they want to support the players, and then they find out that it's I don't think they find it out, but they find out the hard way. Their team's never going to win, and it's really sad. And now they've extended it so every team's given this false hope even further, which of course is good business. But it's sad seeing these fans. I really feel bad for them. Yeah, swag. It's good to see you here, man. I'm always happy when you come along. They copy WWE so much. John Cena covered it in his SB speech. There's a reason they didn't have him back. He went into, it's an exact blueprint. They just copy him every step of the way. And whether it's Goodell being like McMahon, McMahon's obviously not really in the picture anymore, but you get my point. And WWE sending them belts after they win, I feel like that's a little bit of a tease. WWE letting them know, hey, you're just the same as us. I'll tell you this: if it's on Monday or Friday and you're watching football, flip between that and wrestling, and tell me what looks more physical. Tell me who actually looks like they're trying to win more. Who looks more winded? You'll say wrestling. It looks more realistic these days. The promos sound more realistic than these guys who are yelling like Baker, like holding his helmet. The wrestlers sell these things way better. Yeah, so he's headed to his hometown, and I actually looked into it to see if he ever played the the Niners in the playoffs. I figured he must have. He was on the Rams, but he didn't. So it'll be his first time playing them. And again, it's the number one pick in the draft versus the number whatever, Mr. Irrelevant, the absolute last pick in the draft. That writes itself. If you remember, we went over this multiple times throughout the year, how we were going to get first versus last. My video yesterday, I said an over under of 6.5, and the 6.5 is going to be how many times they mention next week. Oh, it's the first pick versus the last pick. I think it's going to go way over, but you never know. I just flipped this game on. Let's see what Allen's got going on. Looking like when they yeah, I'm getting oh, he took off running, okay. That's another thing with Allen, like, he'll take off running and just, nobody can get to him, everyone misses him, and then other games, he's just taking stupid sacks, so we'll have to see what happens. I'm not sure if the Bills started with the ball or if the Chiefs did and it was a quick 3 and out, but yeah, I just checked it out. Bills are the purple yeah, well, Bills I know people were saying I don't know if you're talking about the logo, where they had the, purple and red. I could see that, but I think Ravens fit that hue the best. But apparently they changed the logo anyway. So, it's not purple and red anymore, apparently. They changed it to like blue, so everyone thinks it's going to be the Lions and Chiefs now. So I think, when you have when the logo is like the biggest thing, then to me that's not going to really make up my mind. It's when I see 5 or 6 different commonalities. You throw that in there, sure, it makes it much more interesting. Oh, what an AI said when asked about NFL. Oh, you're talking about Discord? I'll go into my Discord and check it out. I am curious because people have been doing that. They've been using their Alexa and different AI bots to get information about things like just whatever they want to ask, conspiracy theories, and sometimes you'll get some pretty interesting responses. Like I think someone like had said something like about Hillary Clinton, and Alexa gave some really creepy, detailed response, and it could be a glitch. And with the AI bots, you never know because they're designed by people online. But I'll definitely look into that because that's pretty cool. And yeah, Snoopy, it's 49ers unbearable. So I don't really know how fan bases are just because I really don't watch the games that much. I watch the games when we're the last couple times when we went live. I'll watch them, when I have a chance, but I don't go nuts like watching what the fans do. I guess I like to watch. Maybe it's a guilty pleasure because I know I said I feel bad for him, and I do. But I do like to watch the reaction videos, like the Cowboys fans that were like throwing their shirts and just like kicking air, literally, and doing all these things after they lost to the Packers. Sometimes that could be a little comical to watch because I know they're doing it on purpose for the most part. They're doing it for views anyway. Some people do get that angry, but watching the people that just destroy property because a bunch of guys don't care about them lost, that I can't wrap my head around. Yeah, the color scheme, they mentioned that on Pat McAfee's show. I guess to play a little bit of damage control, kind of sarcastically talking about it. And Rogers is like, oh, it better be jet green next year. And Rogers even said the Ravens Niners. He said, yeah, because people were saying it's going to be Ravens Niners. What's weird is, as you guys know, I like those two teams way before the color scheme. I just think the deaths for Baltimore, I think it was a sacrifice, all these people that died. And for San Francisco, they've been knocking on the door. Again, they're talking about gold. I just feel like it would be interesting. The Nuggets just won. The Vegas Knights just won. I think the 49ers make a lot of sense. I agree, Steven. It should be a small part, just like gematria. We should take it all into effect, and it shouldn't be like, and not one thing. Even if it's faded in the public, a trap line, there shouldn't be one aspect where we're giving that all the attention because there's so many things that go into it that if you just look at gematria, you could see both sides, all these different things. And thanks, JD. It's always good to see you, man. I always appreciate your positive vibes and your insight. And thanks. Yeah, I was explaining. I had the shirt a while ago. I actually haven't worn it in a while. That's probably why it's so tight. But yeah, I like the idea of having like custom shirts that nobody else in the world has. I have never got like a robe embroidered or anything not nuts like that. But I see people that have like custom shirts, and it's always cool. And I just like having my own stuff. So I always every once in a while I'll get like a different shirt that you can kind of like pick the color scheme. You can pick all these different things, kind of like a tattoo. Yeah, Snoopy. Rogers has been the ultimate instigator, gaslighter. He should be invited to an all black roast because he is the absolute best when it comes to roasting and just doing a good job of instigating. He has all year gaslit people and just got everybody all hyped up and all pumped up about how he's coming back, and then at the end of the year he's like, oh no, I'm not coming back, these fans are liars, I don't know why they expected me to come back. So he's just he's an instigator. You saw what he did with Jimmy Kimmel. Again, I think this stuff's going to come out anyway, all the things that whether you talk about the list, all these different celebrities, so they're getting ahead of the story. That's why they have Cat Williams on. That's why Rogers and McAfee are quietly kind of letting people know that there kind of is a script. People, or at least at the very least, the fan base is divided, and a good portion of the fan base believes it's scripted. They're joking about scripts, all that stuff. Yeah, Steven, it's so interesting. Two things. So, one, yeah, it's really good that you have the under. I think it's going under 45 and a half, and the weather doesn't even look that crazy. The public's going to be all over the over, in my opinion. I just don't think it's going to be a situation where this game doesn't go under. And yeah, I think they did shame him. I mean, Love did everything he did outside of, not in his career, but Rodgers couldn't succeed with these guys. He said they were too young, they were inexperienced. Love shows up and they start performing better. So it is interesting. I think he definitely got shamed, and I don't know if he's going to get another ring because, like, look what happened. Again, they moved him to New York, had him get hurt immediately with what looked like just a goofy injury. Like, it wasn't like he went out like a hero. It was like, oh, I've fallen and I can't get up type injury. So when that happens, it seems like a humiliation ritual. And then he's just on Pat McAfee's show the whole time, looking like a doofus, always saying things that don't come true, and just bullshitting with McAfee. I feel like he's probably not going to get another ring now. I don't think they'd give it to him. Between his stance, as you know, he has a very, unless he's changed it, a very strong stance on the vaccination, which is obviously not going to bode well for you if you're in the NFL. We saw what happened with Cole Beasley, all these other guys. So unless he really changed his tune, he's in my opinion going to basically get the Deshaun Watson treatment. You screwed up, now you're just going to be a jobber. Of course, anything can happen, but that's just what I think happens. I think he's going to job out, maybe get a playoff run, but ultimately just keep letting fans down. And actually, what they did with the Jets this year, I think they're going to do with the Bears next year. Because of the picks they have, they could build around Fields if they want. They can get people really excited if they just imagine if they sign Devonta Adams, make a trade, and then they get Marvin Harrison Jr. I just feel like they can do exactly what they did with the Lions and the Jets this year, the Texans. More so Lions Jets, because coming into the season, they were the ones that people were like, this team could do something. More so the Jets than anything, actually. The Lions were supposed to have 9 or 10 wins, according to Vegas, and even I thought that was low. But as far as the Bears, I think they're a perfect team to get pushed next year. Raiders behind Pierce, they could do it. But I think Bears specifically, if like as far as team doing what the Lions did this year, I think the Bears right now are going to be that team next year. So way up, that's actually a really good question. So it makes me wonder how important is the MVP? Because they gave it to Steve Nash, but he never won a finals. And Shaq obviously won way more finals, but he was so mad about the MVP. So you have to. I guess it comes down to, why would they give someone MVP? Is it really because they had the best year, which it should be, or is it something else? Some kind of deep ritual that we'll never know. I lean towards the second because the MVPs make no sense in my opinion. But yeah, I don't have like an exact answer. Like it was weird because he came back and he just looked like he had this punkster boy band haircut. He was looking so goofy. When it was like 50 degrees out, he's bundled up like Bernie Sanders. Like they changed him. Like he was doing weird stuff, and he was playing like crap too. So they definitely punished him, in my opinion. But the MVP could be a lot of reasons. Only the next Brady can. Yeah, Mahomes. Yeah, I don't see. I mean, Lamar could get there, but I don't think he's going to win it. Could be like a Hurt story where you have the MVP and then the other guy gets him. And yeah, I think Mahomes is going to be the only guy to get that. Pre-shame. Yeah, there's always a shame. I always have a saying: penance before penance. So you have to pay a penance before you get your penance. Pendants, I should, but and it seems they do that a lot. Where a team will get shamed before or after winning a big one. And again, I don't think it's a coincidence. It just doesn't seem like it to me. So one is it confirmed? Is he going to Atlanta or is it still in the talks? I know he's not going to go to Dallas. That'd be too obvious. And they already said they were going to keep their coach. But it's weird because the obvious move seems like, okay, we have what we need. Bring in the genius coach. But of course, that would be too obvious, and they have a different script in mind. So yeah, having him go to Atlanta, maybe build them up. I would think having him go to a team where they would have a really good quarterback makes sense. That way, they could have the argument. Like, was it all Brady or can Belichick build quarterbacks? But it's interesting. I honestly don't know where he's going to go at this point. I wouldn't be surprised. Jets would be fitting, wouldn't it? One, Belichick and Rodgers have similar political beliefs, and two, obviously he was with the Jets already, so I think that would be interesting. Mr. Pfizer gets it. Yeah. So, oh yeah, was that Kelsey? Yeah, that stupid commercial where he's like literally winking at us, which again is just like in our face. And I'm sure you guys saw how all these celebrities and all these political figures, not all of them, but a major part of them were saying, oh, come, I'm going to film myself getting vaccinated. And then you see the end, you see the stoppage on the vaccine. So they're not even getting it done or their sleeves up. They don't even have their sleeve up, their sleeves down, and they're getting this supposed vaccine. I don't know who they're trying to fool. It's absolutely ridiculous. I do wonder if they did make these guys get the vaccine, not just pretend they got it, but actually do get it. Because you see, again, and it's ridiculous. People can't talk about this, but uh, you have way, way more cases of these athletes that get it, and then they're just dropping. They like to say this has always happened. It was like 40 athletes in a year was the highest before. Players like under 50 dying. Players still playing or recently retired, and just look this year. There's hundreds upon hundreds, thousands if you include college. I'm not even going into soccer where the most of it happens. It's just people should look at both sides, and there's only one side that could be explored. You explore the other side. My video got shut down when I went into Bronny James. Yeah, Snoopy. Like, when people bring the numbers to me and tell me, "Oh well, there's not that many people that are it's a small group." I say, "Well, I know over a dozen people who did get it, and they, including my stepfather. In the 2 years since he got it, he now has asbestos in his lungs. He had myocarditis. He's had his kidneys are starting to fail. Now these are all he had checkups every year. Never had this stuff. Buildup of fluid in the lungs. He has AFib now, and it just all came out of nowhere. Neighbor across the street, perfectly fine. He's had two heart attacks. So I'm looking at the raw numbers. I'm looking at people I personally know that either did or didn't. People I know that didn't get it. The funny thing is, they're not even getting the flu. So again, I could be wrong. I could just be working off a very small sample size. But from my experience, from my 100% actually talking to people, meeting people, seeing if they got it and what happened. The only negative experience I'm hearing is from the people that got it. Most of them are just getting COVID every week, and they don't question it. It's ridiculous. Illuminati, because 33 people are watching, or 34 now. Neo, what's that mean? Hopefully, there's a number for that. I guess that means the inventor of pie might be watching because we got 3-4-1-3 here. Yeah, Snoopy. Mine was more. He decided to get it. He thought about it. My mother did not. My sister, I believe she got. I'm almost positive she did. I don't really pry people about the information, but if I know, then I know. And again, my most of my uncles up north and such got it, and again, all having issues. And it's messed up that for something again that in my opinion was so rushed out that people are losing their jobs. People are really got screwed over. I know people sit back and they're like, "Oh, that's just a soundbite," or this really happened. People's lives were turned upside down because of it, and it's just absolutely insane. Yeah, Shane, like the stats. So I don't know if you know this. They wanted to hold it all for 75 years. They want to bribe you with McDonald's and beer. Here's another thing. I quote this guy a lot, and it's again, you follow certain people, you listen to what they say, and people are going to put you in a box, and I don't care. Trump says things that are interesting. Bernie says things that are interesting. A man that says interesting things is Andrew Tate, and he said it best because I was thinking of like the different, hypocritical standards set. And he went on to say, it's funny. You have prostate cancer. You're not getting tests and all these different messages from the NHS saying, hey, you need to go ahead and get a prostate exam. We're going to make sure that you're taken care of. Nothing else. They've never done this. But with this, they suddenly care about your health. Now they care about you. You could be, you could have 6 heart attacks in a row and you're on your deathbed. You're not going to get a text about how they can help you. But with this vaccine, out of nowhere, they wanted to give their helping hand. They wanted to pay us. They wanted to make sure that these are this precious citizenship couldn't be harmed. And to me, it was the most insincere thing ever. That should have been the immediate alarm bell when they just treated this differently than anything else in the world. Bear in mind, there is a flu vaccine out now. People know about this. Been out for a while, and still hundreds of thousands to millions of people get the flu a year. So how can if something that's been tested for this long is still giving people the flu? Why would people think something that just came out that they don't even know the antibody for is going to work? It just doesn't make sense in my opinion at all. And again, I just like to be honest. So if you took it, if you disagree, that's perfectly fine. But I always just like to give my opinion on the matter. I have a strong one, especially now because I literally am watching my stepdad cling to life within 2 years of taking this thing. But I'm sure people have the opposite where they're like, no, my friend got COVID and got sicker and it was terrible. And I do feel horrible. Like I just am going off of the numbers that I personally have. Oh, I didn't see that game. Oh, you know what? I did see that game, John. I didn't see the game, but I saw the matchup. I just stayed away. I'm like, it was a 1.5 point spread. I didn't know where the public would be. You have injuries for both sides, I believe. The Heat are inconsistent. The Magic are weird. So I just stayed away from that one. So you took the Heat and what the Magic wound up doing it, I'm guessing? Yeah, the Magic let me down a few times this year. Yeah, that's another thing, Snoopy. Like who was it? Pete Buttigieg, John Kerry before him, flying. They're flying on private jets everywhere. And Kerry's quote was, "A man of my stature needs a man of my stature needs a private jet." Meanwhile, they're getting on people for driving their RV down the road. And again, there's ways things can be controlled, but we live in such an extremist world now that it's black and white. It's like go Amish or you're terrible. Go electric or you're terrible. And we need to get back to realizing we weren't like this before. Like what happened? And it's these talking points, this mockingbird media, this engineering and conditioning, where now people feel like I'll give you a perfect example. The same people that believed in 9/11 and JFK being assassinated don't today. And you know why they don't? Because now it's coming from a Trump based audience. Before it was coming from the anti establishment audience. People didn't like Bush. Now, just because it's coming from a different side and it's called the deep state instead of the Illuminati, people are acting like, "Oh, you're nuts." That couldn't have happened. So people change their own opinions based off of people they don't like, and that's the sad world we're living in. So, in my opinion, we just need people to use critical thinking, hold up the same standards. Sorry if you hear those ambulances. I got my window open for some air. It's like the 3 week period here in Florida where we get some chilliness. 33, yeah, I know, 3-3. Remember all the threes with Damar Hamlin, Steven? They love pushing those threes. And again, I think it's to keep the game under. They're going to get some field goals, get touchdowns. Like I said, I think it's going to be like 24-21. I could see even 23, 21, but they do have these numbers repeat over and over. And it's the reason I don't use gematria because I'll see it everywhere. I'll be like, oh, he's on the 33-yard line and all these different things. And then you use vortex math, which you use in gematria, and you could just go a million ways with it. Yeah, Steven, that was a game where they predicted Romo came out and he's like, I think this is going to be a 24-20 game. And then like 3 weeks later, they're like, yeah, Romo's being investigated. They're not too happy with how he was calling games this year. And I'm like, I wonder why. Kind of similar to Shannon Sharp. Yeah, I wonder, Shane, that's funny. I'm very oblivious. So I'm not, it's funny. I'm not oblivious. I know what's going on, but at the same time, I don't react to things immediately. So I would look at something like the Hunger Games or these things that go on in movies, and it's like, oh wow, this could actually happen. Not zombies, but you could have people that are just completely, acting maniacal due to drugs and out there trying to freaking eat people or whatever they're trying to do, trying to freaking attack people. You could have these things happen, and I don't really think about it, but it would be pretty if I took a nice bong hit one night, got in front of watched a good old sci-fi, good old fashioned sci-fi movie. It would probably be a little eerie because of how many things. Look at It Lives. All these movies. The Matrix I've never seen. I know it's crazy. You guys have the right to call me. Put the L's in the chat for that one because I don't know why I've never watched The Matrix. It's just a weird. I can't explain it. I just envision a guy bending and kicking the whole movie. Yeah, Steven, you have every right to do that. I need to watch it, especially because I just assumed it's people kicking, chopping, bending, and I didn't realize it's like this deep movie about what the world's really about. So I have to get myself like psyched up and definitely just watch all the Matrix. So I see all these Morpheus references, no idea. Like I know he's the guy in the movie who helps Neo, but yeah, I gotta watch it. The only Keanu Reeves experience I have is Shane Falco. I loved him in The Replacements, but I definitely have to check out the Matrix. Oh, you're not ranting, Snoopy, man. You're being positive. There's people in here ranting earlier about cage fighting and stuff. So, no, you've been good. I just feel like you're right. There's so much crap going on. I think last time you were the one who told me that you go into like gematria and stuff into the theories, and then it upsets you because you can't figure it out, but there's something wrong. And I was saying it really is a balance. You'll take a tax on your mental health the deeper you go into it, but then things that come true that you already knew it also will affect you less. So it's a fine balance, in my opinion, too. Shane Falco died. Yeah, Flacco Falco. They came back, got pummeled. Well, Falco came through at the end, but yeah, he got destroyed in that. Was it the Sugar Bowl? Yeah, but Shane, if you're gonna, I'll tell you what, Shane. If you want to really look at some subliminal stuff, take a bong hit and watch Sausage Party. That movie's insane because, like, I remember at one point, like what were they like these those stupid straws with the sugar inside of them, the candy straws. They were like killing the humans. Like when they finally got their comeuppance on the humans. And I was thinking about it. And I'm like, oh man, because more people die from sugar and obesity and diabetes than anything else. I was pausing it like every 5 minutes, finding different types of nuances and Easter eggs in that movie. Yeah, Sausage Party is so subliminal. I thought it was gonna be some goofy cartoon, and my friend was so annoyed because we were watching it, and I'm just like, "Oh, wait a second," and I pause it, and he's like, "What now?" And I'm like, "That mustard, he was a German mustard. They use German mustard seed in the war. Some of it was ridiculous, but some of it was pretty straightforward. Like I said, like the sugar killing the people." And Pete, I guess you're talking about me not seeing The Matrix. Yeah, that's like number one on the list. I've exclusively usually watch horror movies, 80s movies. I like old school movies. I watch comedies sometimes, and I haven't watched many new movies at all. I think there's too much social commentary. But Matrix, I definitely need to watch because it's not like Harry Potter, where it's like I haven't seen that one, but I'm not too ashamed. Whereas The Matrix, again, Keanu Reeves said himself that movie was a documentary. So that and It Lives are two movies that I probably in my top three for sure. So Phoenix, my favorite book. I listen to exclusively audiobooks, and kind of a cheat answer. There's a lot of books that I had to read in school and such, but my favorite book is an audiobook by George Carlin. It's called When Will Jesus Bring the Pork Chops? It's a hilarious 8-hour audiobook where he just goes into the he does his comic act, but he actually goes into a lot of philosophical whims, and it's pretty entertaining. As far as just like your good old fashioned book, I didn't mind the Crucible. It was all right. I I care more about animals than people, so I read Animal Farm, and that one got me a little feeling kind of sad. Same with Of Mice and Men. My problem is when I read books, I read the same paragraph 15 times, so I do prefer audio or watching the movie. A lot of times I'll just watch, like, there's this one book, it's called The 50 Universal Laws. It's an awesome book, and the narrator has an amazing voice, the audio guy. So it's 50 universal laws. So it's like laws, not just like attraction, but actual laws that go into energy and things. And that's probably my favorite thing to listen to. It's really interesting. That's the thing, John. Like, more people die from diabetes than all these other issues, but it's like this week the problem's going to be bird flu, and the next week it's going to be pig flu and swine flu, and the next week we're going to have a bat outrage. And it's just ridiculous. Like, they can never stick to one common issue, and the fact that going to the gym, they're actually saying these. If you go to the article and type in like gym health, half of them are saying, "Is it unhealthy to go to the gym? Why going to the gym is unproductive." Like, just think of a society that's telling you getting fit could be bad for you, and you can see they don't care about us. They want people in and out of doctors like sardine cans, in my opinion. The Catcher in the Rye. I heard that one. It's funny. I always thought Catcher in the Rye was some kind of pun, like catcher in the eye. And it wasn't my dirty mind. I just genuinely thought, like, I was like, what the hell is this catcher in the rye? And it just sounded very much alike. But I guess it has nothing to do with a guy, let's just say, catching her in the eye. But it sounds very similar to me. So I thought that was interesting. That's good, Snoopy. It's good to be well versed. I read a lot of articles, so not a lot of books. I like reading medical articles. I like reading articles on history where I can kind of decipher through the bullshit. I like reading archaeological findings and again just articles in general. Look at Josh Allen. Is that Josh Allen? Just looking like I know that was Cook. I think I just saw a hurdle of people. But anyway, yeah, I just I like articles, but there are some books that I do like in audio form. And yeah, sugar is so. Another thing is people are like they'll put people on diets and say don't take carbs. Well, carbs turn to sugar if you don't work out, but if you take carbs and then you work out, you're good. Sugar, on the other hand, especially high fructose corn syrup, just immediately turns to fat. So sugar is worse than any of it, but they won't focus on sugar. Did you know that they don't put the daily allowance of sugar on your food? So if you look at, oh, there we go. They just let them score. That's good. I'll take that. If you look at any of your soda, it'll tell you how much sugar's in there, but it won't tell you the daily percentage. Do you know why? It's because they legally can't, because even a Snickers bar, you're having a couple days worth of sugar. That's how little sugar we are supposed to ingest. It's absolutely insane. So it's cereal. It depends on the sugar and such. I don't think cereal is too good for you. Uh, you know, I think there's worse things. I have cereal more pretty often. I have it like once, twice a week. I think oatmeal is a lot better, but again, it's carbs. You do have sugars in cereal. Again, you're going to have sugars in almost everything that's processed. But I think cereal's fine, especially again if you're working off the fuel. If you're running afterwards, if you're going to the gym, even if you're just going on a bike ride, whatever you do. In my opinion, if you eat not even great, you're eating burgers and such, but every day you're working out or every day you're jogging, you're better off than the guy who's eating perfect but not doing anything. That's just my opinion. So I just have a very strong opinion on fitness. Yeah, that was a good one for Josh Allen. Fritz Springmeier. So I'll have to check him out, Snoopy. Are you the one who mentioned Bill Cooper? Someone else mentioned Bill Cooper. I thought he was a comedian because we were talking about comedians. Then later I researched it, and it turned out that he was more of like a conspiracy theorist, as they say. So I'll have to check out the both of them. Fritz Springmeier will not be hard to forget, and I'll remember Bill Cooper because I remember him from last time. That's the thing, John. Like, if you could find, and you don't even know if they're telling the truth, but you can kind of taste it, cereal that's not loaded with sugar. And again, it's directed for kids, so of course they're going to do it. But I feel like it could definitely, it's fine. You have whatever you like, Chex Mix. I think it'd be fine. Again, I'm not an expert. Someone asked if I'm into medical. What I can say, John, is I think doctors are overrated, and I think people need to take a strong look at how doctors are viewed. And I say this because I've talked to nurse practitioners who could debate a doctor under the table. Yeah, I've seen doctors debating people that are not doctors, and the people that are not doctors are in better shape and they make better points. And I've personally debated doctors about things that I've read. They doctors will tell you don't go on Google and look stuff up, but I do. And with my stepfather, for example, his back's bothering him, all these different things. I bring up to the doctor. Could it be his renal artery? Could it be renal stenosis? And he looks at me like I'm nuts. Like, you're not a doctor. Get out of here with this doctor talk. And nope, it can't be because the pain's not near the kidney. I said, okay, but he has a messed up heart. He's got AFib. There's a good chance the renal artery could not be getting the correct blood circulation. Nope, can't be. 2 hours later, they do a scan. Yep, he's got kidney problems. Now, I've done this to doctors on multiple occasions, and they just don't like to be wrong. They don't want to admit that somebody that didn't study for 8 years, outdated material, might know something or two. We're living in 2023. You can get a lot done with the internet and narrow things down. So I have a very strong opinion on doctors. I would rather med school students from the nearest college to diagnose me than someone who's been a doctor for 60 years because they've become desensitized and they just don't understand, in my opinion, like things that, again, sugar. Most doctors aren't going to tell. They'll tell you don't smoke. They'll tell you, and again, smoking's bad, but they won't tell you cut out the sugar. It's horrible. You have to go running. You have to do these things. Doctors should be saying that, but they're not. They say take these 15 medications so you can eat more sugar. It's just I have such a problem with doctors. Rice, yeah, rice has sugar. I know there's like with carbs, you have complex carbs, and with sugar, you have different types of sugar, starch. And I do like my rice, but yeah, there's sugar in a lot of things. Like I said, it just, in my opinion, leading a healthy lifestyle. As far as I've been pretty fortunate, especially with how I smoke cigarettes. I'm not great with it, but I drink tea. I put Irish sea moss in my tea. Look into Irish sea moss; it's insane how beneficial it is for you. It literally saved the Irish people during the plague. Seaweed, cannabis helps me a lot, and just I put ginger in a lot of stuff. I put turmeric in a lot of things. Spices. There's a reason England invaded the world for spices. Spices will. If you look at the countries that use spices in their food, they live like 10, 15 years longer than us. So I always look into that. Yeah, Marco, I have such a bad taste in my mouth. And again, a lot of it's recency bias because I just dealt with like five incompetent doctors with my stepdad who literally watched him go through a stroke, and then afterwards they said we're going to do an MRI because he might have had a stroke. When I was telling them for hours, it looks like he might be having some kind of episode. Oh no, it's lumbar pain. But anyway, not to rant. These doctors are just absolutely delusional, and I'm not saying all of them are. Your bigger cities, you're typically okay, but when you get to a place where it's like three, four doctors like run the entire city, you're in some serious trouble. Yeah, turmeric. Why aren't doctors recommending turmeric and these spices that have saved people for thousands of years? You have so many of them. Cloves, all these different things. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Snoopy. It's ridiculous. They told me one time I was having a panic attack while I was having a seizure. Then they found out it was a seizure. It took a cardiologist to find out it was a seizure where the neurologist didn't think it was. So these specialists aren't even specialists in their supposed fields. And it is a practice. Someone brought it up before. It's a practice. There's a reason they call it a practice. It's so you can't sue them when their practice screws up. Yeah, Snoopy. It's like they look at like I feel like the one, two, three symptoms, and if you don't exhibit those exact symptoms, then you can't have it. If you're young, then you can't have dementia. We know of people that get early onset dementia. If you're skinny, you can't have diabetes, and it's so stupid. It really is. It's so outdated. And I just feel like these a lot of doctors are working with like textbook from the '60s, where so much has changed in that period of time. Yeah, Andrew, cannabis got me off of like 13 medications. This is my Rick Simpson oil pen. They had me on gabapentin for nerves. They misdiagnosed me with bipolar 2. Turned out to be part of my autism. So they put me on Seroquel for that. They put me on Clonopin. They put me on Adderall. They put me on all sorts of medications. And that's not even including the medications for my stomach. And the cannabis, I'm on one medication now as needed and working my way off of that. And it's because they just want people on medicine. Then they have routine customers instead of a healthy populace, which is the last thing they want. Yes, way up. I don't know if you know about, yeah, sea moss is amazing. Uh, I'm not su yeah, it's got, like, every single nutrient for the human body in it, sea moss. It's ridiculous. And about the Celtic sea salt, regular table salt is poison. Oh, interesting, thank you, I'll do that. I knew about Himalayan, I didn't know about the Celtic sea salt, I'll have to look into that. Now about the, gabapentin, yeah, gabapentin gets you a little loopy. They give it to people to get them off opiates, and a lot of people that they're okay with that because it gives them the same kind of feeling, but not as much. And it's a lot better than putting on, was it, the one that starts with an N? It's the one to wean them off. If someone posted in the naproxen or something, it's not naproxen, but it's methadone. The M. Methadone is gabapentin is a much better one to wean people off than methadone from what I can see, because the people that get put on methadone just get addicted to that. And mushrooms, yeah. There was a study done in the 70s. And if you guys want to talk about the game, let me know. But it seems like I always like doing these. I consider them more like open talk, just chill sessions. In the 70s, they did a study, and this doctor had to go through 50,000 hurdles to make sure he could do a clinical study with medical mushrooms, psilocybin, and he did, and it was overwhelming that this worked. People that were clinically depressed said they weren't anymore. People that had PTSD said they understand why they have this trauma and they were able to move on. And this was just one dosage, small dosage. There was like one guy out of like 15 that had a bad reaction. The rest said it changed their lives. They immediately ran a smear campaign against it and shut it down because it was helping people. Same with cannabis. So it's just ridiculous. I do it. Yeah, I'm the same, Shane. It's been like 2 years now, but I'd say about once every year I would get some mushrooms. Sometimes I would do acid, but more so mushrooms. I just think mushrooms are much better for you as far as they're organic. Now I know a lot of people say, "Oh well, sewage is organic. Does that mean it's good to eat?" I get that, but at the end of the day, there's less things being added to it, and you do get a very spiritual experience. Same with the ayahuasca. That was only a one timer. But yeah, those, in my opinion, have their benefits where it's not just I feel good. You can actually, if you want to, reflect upon yourself. Yeah, I see T Swift. The good thing is, I know they haven't been on like a crazy winning streak. They won like the first couple games when she was showing up, then they lost a couple. But I'm curious to see like her facial reactions. Maybe she gives stuff away because she's new to this, as far as watching these games. I haven't really watched her too much, so I can't really tolerate her. But I am curious if maybe what she's wearing or how she's acting indicates what's going to happen. Dallas Buyers Club, wasn't that a movie? Was that the one with McConaughey? I could be mixing it up. I know there was a movie with McConaughey and I think Leo, and they were. I thought they were in the movie. I could be wrong, but it sounds like I think Dallas Buyers Club was that. I know it was a movie. I just didn't get around to seeing it. Yeah, I don't know if I've tried non-psychedelic because there's always a friend that I trusted, and I'd usually just be, it would usually just be me and my, the only times I ever did it was me and my girlfriend years ago, me and my friend, and me and my dog, because I believe in vibes. So if I'm in a room with 9 people doing it, if 2 of those people have bad intents, I completely believe that I'll feel that and it'll ruin my experience and maybe even promote a panic attack or something, because I like having control over situations. So yeah, I always like to just have someone I really trust, and I could do it alone too. But if there's going to be people, I don't like it to be at a party and stuff like that. I've never been. Smoking's fine because I've built up such a crazy tolerance. I don't get the psychoactive feeling. It literally just gets me through my day. Helps me with anxiety. It helps me with eating, all that stuff, sleeping. Thanks, Andrew. I'm hoping you're talking about us. Hopefully I'm not putting you to sleep. If you're talking about the game, it also looks like it's a pretty good show they got going on. And yeah, this is kind of what I expected. I don't think that 49.5 is going to hold, Steven. I could be wrong. I have a feeling that it's going to slow down, and it just seems like they're going to kind of tail each other. Again, I still see mid 20s. Bills win by a couple points, but you never know, of course. Like, they can flip the script. I'm hoping we get it because it'd be a very nice finish. Getting basically, well, it wouldn't be basically, it'd be all 4 of them this wild card or this divisional weekend. We did 4 of 6 in the wild card round, so that's not bad. The problem was I parlayed them, so I really screwed it up. So with the parlay, it didn't help. But as far as overall picks, if we get this, we'll be 8 out of 10, which you can't do too much better. So looking like we're over the target. And yeah, Steven, I'm guessing they just imagine that Chiefs are going to make a 10-10 here. I will say the Vegas live lines. There's times I've looked at them and I'm like, oh man, I'm good. My team's up by 14, and according to Vegas, they're going to win by 28, and it'll change so quick. So live lines, it happened to me with tennis just last night. Guy I had was like minus 400 because of one set that got broken. He's at like plus 200. I'm like, what happened here? So I really don't stress over the live lines, just like watching the games themselves. We know it's going to go back and forth. But yeah, I think it would be good to get in on, like, I'm not saying just keep pounding it, but I think it's going to be under 50 for sure. And I still think it'll probably be under 45. I wonder if they're going to go for it. I imagine they won't. It doesn't make any sense. But they have been going for ridiculous fourth downs this year. So I'd be curious if the Chiefs get close enough, if maybe they go for it but don't get it. And yeah, they recovered their own fumble. Oh yeah, that Bills guy had it. He just gave it to him. He's like, "Oh, it's not our turn to have the ball. Here you go, buddy." Yeah, I think yeah, and that's always good too. Positive vibes. It's like yesterday with the Niners. I had the Packers covering, and there was no value or the Packers. Yeah, Packers covering. There was no value in the Niners winning until they were down with like 3 minutes left, and all of a sudden the value was plus 260. So a lot of times waiting live is definitely the way to go. Oh, flag, Steve. I wonder who it's. I'm guessing there might be. Yeah, it might be on the defense. Looks like a late flag. But I know you're like 15 seconds ahead of me. Okay, they kicked the field goal. Oh, okay, Snow. The thing is, Steven is ahead of all of us. I swear, we're in the Discord. And yeah, Neo, I think they're going to get it done. I personally think the Bills are going to win, cover. It just makes sense to me. And yeah, Steven, I just feel like they're going to use the snow for sure as a reason. But with these flags, they always seem to come out like really late. I saw one earlier. It was like an offsides, and the flag came out after the guy dropped the pass, and they're like offsides, and they move the play up, and it's just ridiculous. And they'll never show the flag when it's thrown, and they'll never show. Another thing you'll notice: the announcers, when they throw a flag for a legal formation, the announcer won't say a word, even if it's Romo, who knows everything. But then after they see the flag, you'll hear Romo or someone say, "Oh yeah, that's obviously an illegal formation. I knew it all along." It's like, well, why didn't you call it when you saw it? You waited until you saw the flag because you knew that was the cue. Commercials. I don't know if it's in here or if you're talking about on the game. I actually set it to conservative because you have three options. You could do conservative, moderate, or like aggressive. And I'm like, I'll do conservative. It should be like one every hour or so in here. All right, I'll have to see if I could just for these. I'll just turn it off if I can. I didn't know they did it live because I'm like, what happens? Does it come back and you're where I was, or are you like behind when you come back? But then I saw the three options, and yeah, well, like I said, it's not a giant deal. It's like freaking a buck 50 or something. So I could just turn the ads off for sure. Love was great in Dallas last week, and then he threw an interception. Yeah, the interception, both Loves and Bakers were very similar. You only get two endings to a game. You get, well, three. When a guy is trying to make the comeback, he's going to throw a stupid interception, he's going to take a stupid sack, or they're going to come back. There's like no in between. Like you rarely see a guy just drive the field and then they turn it over on downs. It's always an interception, a crushing sack, or they come back. I just never see like an in between. Yeah, I didn't know, Shane, that like they were coming through at a rate. It doesn't tell me. Sometimes in the corner it'll pop up, but if I'm looking at the chat, I won't see it. But I don't, like I said, when I set it at a conservative, and it said, yeah, this will make sure that there's not too many ads. And I think again for live, I did it for the regular videos just because again we were cut off at the knees, and I figured actually my last one got copyrighted because I went to ESPN and I was showing people the games, and they started playing the highlights, and since the highlights are playing in the background, the NFL hit me with a copyright. So I'm like, all right. So like they it's weird how quickly they see things. Yeah, I think it's automated, so like they just immediately if they see any image, they're just gonna nail you with it. But it was weird because it's not like I clicked on it. I was just going over the game's box score, and they started automatically playing these talking heads, and showing highlights. and that was the part they copyrighted. Oh, you're good, Shane. Like I said, these are like a couple bucks. We're not a giant channel, but with the love you guys have shown on Patreon, the buy me a coffee, just in general, and like I said, I'm not in this to freaking bank anyway. It's obviously nice because again, I stopped doing sales a little while ago, and it kind of ran parallel with me doing more videos, trying to do more live videos, trying to just do more with the channel, opening my Discord, doing the rig system, all those different things. So I put way more time into the channel now than I ever have. So it is nice, but it's nothing that I just absolutely like. Oh man, this video I need to make sure I get paid. It's a couple bucks a video, so you never know. Stephen, no. I thought. See, the thing with Patreon is, well, I would say yes for the videos because I have free memberships with Buy Me a Coffee. So I thought, okay, when people come over to Patreon, I'll just send them a free membership. And then it said when I Googled it because I couldn't find the option, it said you can't. So with Buy Me a Coffee, what I did is anyone that has Patreon, I send them the Buy Me a Coffee so they can use them both for free. But if you'd rather the Patreon because I have the videos and such over there, it is easier to move over just because I can't send the membership. Like I wish I could. That's why I made it because everyone that signed up with Buy Me a Coffee, I genuinely appreciated. You guys signed up a long time ago, and I wanted to make sure everybody was grandfathered in. But it just won't let me send, the free membership. So if you could just, if it's all the same, dropping from Buy Me a Coffee and being on Patreon would be a little easier. Oh, Jibs, I don't know what undefeated streak they shown. Maybe it was the Mahomes one. Right now, we're undefeated on the divisional round, so I'm hoping we hold that up and do well. What's up, MN and Takali? I haven't seen you, but I hope you're doing good. John, yeah. So Steven, probably as far as on the channel, that was the biggest one we've ever hit. It was halftime. Well, it was actually the third quarter of the Jaguars Chargers playoff game last year, and I just felt compelled. I said, I don't care if it was. I said, it's not a lot of time, but I put out like a 4-minute video. You can look it up. Predicted in live time, Jaguars for Steelers. I said, this is weird. Or I'm sorry, versus Chargers. The Chargers are just somehow keeping the Jags in this. The Jags are coming back. They're winning this game. And yeah, they were like plus like 1,000 or something, or plus 1,600, whatever Steven said. I'm sure it was different for different people. But sure enough, they come right back and win. And then afterwards, Lauren says you couldn't script a game any better than this. And it's like, okay, to the people that say it's not scripted, not only did I predict he was going to come back, but then he actually admitted it was scripted. I think we might be on to something here. So yeah, it's just yeah. If you send me a message, or I can even message you, whatever's easier. I could, like I said, for the Patreon, it's just if you just move over to it, I'll just send you a free link on Buy Me a Coffee, and that way I do the post on Buy Me a Coffee. So if you just want to look at the pics, you don't have a lot of time, get the email. It'll be through Buy Me a Coffee, and if you wanted to watch the video, then you can watch that on Patreon as well. So it's whatever's most convenient for you. Yeah, Jibs, they really do. They did it with Baker earlier. They said, oh, not undefeated, but they said, oh, three career comebacks or something like that. And they did the same thing yesterday with Jordan Love. He's got three career comebacks, and then they don't do it. But when they don't show the streak, then afterwards they'll be like, oh, this guy just broke this record. So I look out for that. It seems like when they don't talk about it, it happens, and vice versa. Yeah, Shane, that Jags game was an interesting one. Like I said, with live action, it's really hard because the video itself takes like 15 minutes to upload. So you can imagine, like, I was like rushing that video out, so I couldn't give many reasons. I'm just like, listen, hammer the Jags. I think they're coming back, something to that effect. At the time, it was like a three-score game, and I think the Chargers were punting or something. I don't remember. But by the time the video uploaded, it was still where people could get good odds. And even I'd say a good 30, 40 minutes after that because the Jags were down quite a lot. So a lot of people caught anywhere from like plus 600 to plus probably 1,600 on that one. Yeah, Steven. So yeah, for the Buy Me a Coffee, I don't know. Like I said, if you do Patreon, I can send you a membership on Buy Me a Coffee. Here's another thing for anyone on Buy Me a Coffee. It won't let me send you a free membership if you're already a member. So you'll have to cancel on that end, and I'll make sure obviously you get the picks for the couple days you're canceled. and then the membership comes to an end, and then I can send you the free membership. But I tried that, and it said, "Oh, you can't send a free membership to someone who's already a member." So yeah, you'll just have to like unsubscribe for like however long. It's usually like a day or two, and in that time, I can give you the I can email them to you or whatever it may be. Discord. It's just I don't know the name of it. Like I don't even know how to get it. My name's National Sports Entertainment, but I can post a link, John. I always post links, so I'll post a link at the end of this chat, and you could join. I've gone into this before. You have people. We had a guy in the chat earlier who was a lot of people in here feel like he was starting some stuff up, and these ne'er do wells work their way into the Discord. They worm their way in, and I don't think they have good intentions. I know this. I've seen channels tell people to come raid the Discord. So we had hundreds of people in there. Now it's a much more organic number. Still a good bit of people. I think we're got like 50 or 60 in there, but it's just there were so many people in there I couldn't trust. I didn't know, and a lot of people got kicked as casualties. I do apologize, but if you're, if you just, I just ask people, let me know who you are when you come in the Discord. Like, is this the guy from YouTube? Because five people will come in at the same time, and I'll say, hey guys, who's this? Or what's up? They won't even respond, and then like they'll get in there, change their names, a lot of suspicious stuff. So yeah, if you just come in and let me know, hey, it's John from YouTube, then I know who you are, and that's cool. So that's really all I ask for people. Way up, just sign up for the Patreon. Yeah, so well, like I said, that the buy me a coffee, I could send you a free membership. So basically, anyone that signs up for one, I tried to make it where I could as seamlessly as possible transition everybody to the same one. But some people do prefer buy me a coffee. So what I can do is send you the buy me a coffee free membership. It's no different. The only difference is, like I said, you'll get all the picks emailed, so you don't have to listen to me rant. Some people like to hear the internet, the reasons I like the games, the recaps we do every night. I go into exactly how well we did. Last several nights we've been doing all right. Today is going to obviously heavily come down to the Lions, or not the Lions, the Bills. But yeah, I just post like, and you get it in your email on Buy Me a Coffee. As far as on Patreon, I just go over the video. Crypto and Nick's guy. Okay, Andrew. Yeah, you brought this up last time too, and you did too, Pete. And I apologize. Sometimes I try and remember everything I can, but I will make sure. Let me see 1 second. I'll have a link. Oh, yeah, I see your message, Shane. So I'll look at that article in a minute. I'll send you guys both links. You might not get it immediately, but like I said, if you're banned, Peter, there's like a lot of there's like four different Peter T's in there in my Discord, so I don't know which one's you, but I can make sure that you can get through. And same with you, Andrew. So the banning was it's more people got kicked as a result of, again, like hordes of people came in. I was trying to figure out who was actually from the channel and who was just coming from other places. And then a good way to test it, you kick somebody. And then if you've never heard of them, and it's their first time and they're like, oh, why'd you kick me? And you've never seen them on the channel before, it's a little suspicious. But for people like, Pete here and was Andrew, who have been in the Discord, sometimes security will do it because of an email. If you have multiple accounts made, it'll kick you, things like that. So yeah, it was absolute nut. It was nuts. We just had people raiding the Discord and just trying to be toxic, just trying to steal picks, whatever they wanted to do. So it was insane. Like every 3 days, I had to shut it down, kind of clean it out and start it back up. Now we're good. So, like I said, Andrew, Pete, I'll make sure you guys get links and your names are good. Andrew, was your name Andrew in there? I know you mentioned before because crypto, we still talk about that in there. I just got some chain link actually yesterday, but yeah, if you just let me know your names, I can make sure you get in there. Yeah, John. No, I never said you did. Like I said, if you're not able to get in, I'll definitely send it to you. And I remember you. Like I said, it's the people that just randomly come in. I'll send, for example, I'll send John Zeka. I'll send you a link, and six people will join the Discord. And I don't know. It's like, okay, who's John? Which one's John? And then the other five, I have no idea what they're there for. I ask them, hey, what's up, guys? And they never answer. And then I'll kick them like a week later after they haven't said a word, and they'll be like, "Why'd you kick me?" So that's the stuff that I find interesting. Yeah, and I agree with you both. I like H bar. It's another. It reminds me of what's a Hedera hash graph or something. But it's another one. I like it because of the market cap. A lot of people look at like Ripple and they're like, "Oh, it's gonna 10x because it's 60 cents," and they're not looking at the market cap where, sure, it could, but if you have a very low market cap, it's just way more likely to happen, in my opinion. Okay, so Chiefs up 13. Steven, you are so ahead of me. Like right now, I'm at 3 minutes and 46 seconds, and 10 seconds ago, you told me Kelsey scored. I don't understand how. I feel like you're ahead of everybody because every time you post, someone will say, "Man, you're ahead of us." You must have like 7G or something. Yeah, it's crazy. And I thought it was just me, but because I used to use my phone and such. But I'm using my 5G Spectrum over here, and Steven's just like I'm convinced he's at the game. He's one of the agents, just throwing it in our face. But no, it's crazy. He's got the fastest reception I've ever seen. Yeah, I haven't found someone who's beat him yet. If someone could beat him, then they're working with some alien technology. But yeah, there's Kelsey getting pretty wide open on that, and so we're at basically. Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's pacing right for that 45, huh? Right now we're at 46. Should they make this extra point? Of course, the Bills could drive down the field and score. But yeah, it's looking like I think the under's still good. 4K TV. I'm not sure which one mine is. I got the very underrated TCL. I think it's called TCL. It's TCL or TLC. I think it's TCL. And I had tested it against the Samsung and a bunch of others, and the clarity is amazing on it. And it's cheaper too. Bills plus 122. I swear I see that number all the time. Yeah, Kansas City's up. It's still basically a pick 'em. I think the Bills are going to get it done. I do. Again, I could be wrong. There's other games that would have shocked me a lot more than this Chiefs win. But I think we're going to get Bills Ravens. I think it's different. And we could just have Patrick keep going to the championship, but I think there's going to be a couple years where he just doesn't do it. Early elimination. And pushing the Bills, who have looked unstoppable, against the Ravens, who have also looked unstoppable, is a pretty cool matchup. So I like the Bills, but again, Mahomes versus the world. We've talked about that narrative. It definitely stands to reason that they'll just have Patrick keep carrying his teams to victory, and I suppose Kelsey too. It's really him too. But the Taylor Swift narrative is an interesting one. But I just have a feeling this might be Buffalo's time. Someone brought up to me how they put out this article a while ago about, and they made shirts, something about like the Bills' greatest story never told. I brought it up earlier, but basically how they were out of the playoffs, even though they weren't. They were like a half game behind for half a week. But anyway, they were like, oh, they might miss the playoffs, and then they went on this completely insane run, and they haven't lost since. So I think continuing that run makes sense, even though a lot of people might be on Buffalo. I just have that feeling. So okay, 50. So it hasn't moved too much. Starts moving to like 55, then it's a little time to get a little concerned about the under. But yeah, I think, if the half ends without Buffalo scoring, I imagine it drops to like 47 and a half. If Buffalo gets the field goal, it probably remains the same. If Buffalo gets a touchdown, then it probably goes up a little bit, of course. So we'll just have to watch that. And yeah, H bar, chain link. I like Matic, although the market cap's starting to move up. Another one I like a lot is Gala because it's a gaming coin and they're using all the games coming out. They're going to start using tokenomics, and it's basically like the gold standard for gaming coins. So Gala is going to be good in my opinion. ICP is that? I don't know if I know ICP. I know one is like something computer. I don't know if that's the one. Something computer or something. I'm not sure if that's the one you're talking about. Outside of the insane clown posse, I'm not sure. But no, I think that might be something computer. I'm not sure if it is, but I know there's a coin that's like something computer. And I did think that one had some upside to it. And there's days it was up like 60%. If it's a newer coin, I'm not too familiar with the really new ones. I did a lot of research back in the Ethereum infancy days, like when it was just getting started, back when Litecoin was number two on Coin Market Cap, and everyone swore Litecoin was going to be the next big thing, and it made no sense because it had no utility, and it wound up getting flipped by its own subsidiary. Doge is part of Litecoin, and Doge flipped Litecoin, but I don't know Rollbit either, so I'll have to look into them. I also shifted from crypto to NFTs, Ethereum name service. Metaverse Land. So I was doing a lot of focus on those. Oh, I didn't even see that, Marco. Yeah, you got to get the Love Kit. Oh, there it is. There's the logo. We got purple, and it looks like pink, if I'm being fair. But yeah, I saw the purple little. It looked like the original logo, not the one that supposedly changed to being like red and blue. They said. So yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I would take a field goal. Again, I think either way, we might see some slowing down in the second half, some turnovers. We're definitely going to see on one occasion somebody go for it on fourth down, turn it over, which is going to flip the pace completely. Oh, 17 for 17. Yeah, Johnny K, I brought this up before. If you guys ever see him post hockey in the YouTube sections or really any kind of numbers, I trust his numbers more than any of these gematria channels because he doesn't just reach. He actually finds like exact dates that line up perfectly, and he's not going to the 58th prime ordinal. He's like, this is this guy's birthday, and he's playing this team who this is their record, and he can score the same amount of goals. Like it's very straightforward, and I always appreciate him. So I always appreciate your all you guys, but your knowledge on the number aspect, Johnny. Yeah, I think the Bills are going to get it done. I know you did say you like the Chiefs, and again, I don't want people thinking like this isn't like my Niners pick or something. Like it's not one where I'm like, oh, Bills can't lose, doesn't make any sense because Chiefs Ravens would be fine. I just think there's more merit to the Bills winning, especially because they're trying to push someone as at least competent where they can hang with Mahomes, and I feel like Josh Allen has to be that guy. Oh, yeah, no problem, Johnny. Like I said, you notice stuff really quick. Yeah, he is. He notices stuff so fast and so many different things. I try my best to reply and like give my insight, but like it's just insane because he'll have so many different numbers that line up perfectly, and it's not like he's just looking for them. You know, he'll notice it in live time. So that's what I really appreciate when it's noticed in live time because it's like, okay, this person isn't just trying to be right; they're just noticing patterns. Ah, thanks. I think we can agree we're both the man. Everybody in here is the man. Uh, because honestly there's so much insight brought to my attention from people like I almost forgot about I think CJ not mentioning Jesus, and I mentioned I like the Texans to get blown out, and then someone posted like, are we not going to talk about CJ and Jesus, and I'm like, oh shit, I completely forgot about that. So yeah, I wound up going I gave that person credit and said like I forgot about it until it was brought to my attention again, but he's going to get smoked because he had, he didn't mention Satan. He mentioned Jesus. That guy's getting crucified. Burrow and the Bengals, Bills. Yeah, that's what I'm maybe more than once, but yeah, it's probably going to be a Manning Brady deal as far as the playoffs. I agree with that way up, where they'll have probably an 80% win record for Pat. But I feel like again, this is a perfect time to give it to Josh Allen. I feel like if they don't, then next year they might as well just pull the plug on the guy because they had the chance in 2020 that did that little thing with the playoffs and the overtime, and then he wasn't too good, and now here's his next chance. I just don't think they're going to pull the rug on him, but I could be I could be wrong. Yeah, Johnny. Again, Tebow, Derek Carr, the few players that have come out and given Jesus some credit, not too lucky. They have not been given the same. They haven't been blessed, unfortunately. So especially because he already got so many props, I thought it made even more sense that he would get smoked. Braden Point. I didn't. I honestly don't. I don't know who Braden Point is. I was so focused on Dan Campbell because he's just so funny to watch. That's another reason I'm like Dan Campbell's. He's going to the NFC Championship. This guy is too animated. Watching him versus the Niners is going to be fun. I don't think so, Andrew. Just because it's a great story. It's amazing, and it would not shock me like the Eagles would have, or even the Cowboys. But I've been so committed on the Niners, and I just feel like you have to give them that opportunity. Like they have so many guys who have paid their dues. Now you could certainly see Lions following the blueprint of the Denver Nuggets first time ever. But since it's already the first time ever, I genuinely think getting to the NFC Championship will be more than enough, kind of like the Texans with Stroud. So I still do like the Niners, but I'm not sure if they're going to. go nuts, as far as go to the Super Bowl. I didn't know Purdy mentioned Jesus. I watched his post game interview the other day, and I noticed he didn't give his defense any credit. So I was like, I wonder why he's not giving the defense credit. They won't basically won him the game. But I'm curious what he might have said. Maybe he didn't go as far as CJ because CJ was like going all out. He was like, it's like he listened to Billy Joel Osteen. He's like, "Oh man, without him, I wouldn't be here. I would die for him tomorrow." I'm paraphrasing, but he's on the cross, so I can play. Like he was just giving parable left and right. So he might have got a little too out of hand with giving Jesus too much flowers, and then they wanted those flowers to go to Satan. But I'd have to hear what Purdy said. Wow, he just got wide open. Yeah, he kind of did. It's funny because again, I saw a lot of these games when I was up at the hospital, and my stepdad, he was able to have the TV, so I put the sound up, and he's like, "This guy sounds cocky," he's not giving his team any credit, and I'm not going to tell him, "Oh, it's scripted," all that stuff, but it was interesting because that's what it seems like people's impression of him is. He's kind of acting like he's that guy already, he's being nice. The team, we got it done, but he is acting like, "I gotta do this, I gotta do it," instead of, you know, "We have to do it," which I did find interesting. So I'm curious if it's to give him some edge because maybe he was a little too boring, I don't know. But it is interesting in my opinion. Yeah, Josh Allen, yeah, you have cocky guys. Ben was cocky. You had a lot of guys that were that way. The difference being Brock is considered like, again, a beneficiary of the system. That's what I'm wondering way up. I feel like there's just little growing pains, like, and you kind of learn the unwritten rules, what you can do, what you can say. It's kind of like wrestling. You can take liberties with your opponent, but if you're new and you take too many liberties, you're gonna catch some receipts. So I feel like it's the same with the NFL. I'm sure there's guys who guide him and guide the new guys, but you have to learn some stuff on your own. Actually, Tim Donahue talked about that with the referees. He's like, as a referee, you have to just learn these things. They don't really just tell you what to do, and then they'll tell you, "Hey, you screwed up here. You did this right." And that's why I really want to have him on so we can go into that context because he said he would talk about anything. So I'm going to ask him obviously stuff he's never been asked as far as referees today, live action, not just the same questions he's been asked a million times. But there's a reason he was scapegoated. It's because, like I said a million times, if a referee just went rogue and went against the owner's wishes or screwed up a game, they'd be kicked just like Tim Donahue. Tim Donahue got kicked because he exposed them for telling the referees to do certain things. Yeah, the live under looks pretty good. You notice they went to a timeout here. I don't know if they called one, but I'm imagining it's because I could be wrong. People might be looking at this saying Buffalo's definitely going to score a touchdown. Let's hammer the over, or let's pick Buffalo to get a touchdown. And like Steven brought up earlier, just like Kansas City did, we might very well see a field goal here. So I'm thinking we get 3 points on this one. Oh, they scored. I forgot Steven was in the next stratosphere, and that much. They're still in the huddle, Steven. I don't understand. Do you have like a drone at the game or something? It's insane. Touchdown or turnover? I'm hoping it's not a turnover. Did he fumble it through the end zone or something? No, there's no way they scored a touchdown. Oh, I was gonna say, there's no way you're that because Josh Allen just ran the ball again and he didn't score, and I'm like, you can't be that much ahead of me. I think they might get three on this, to be honest. 33 seconds right now could be 13-13. A lot of threes, as you pointed out earlier, Stephen. Yeah, he might be from the future. It is crazy. I have to find his connection. It's insane. Like he'll be in the Discord, and everybody will be like, "Oh, I'm not there yet. I'm not." So it's not like I have shitty connection. He just has amazing connection, which is impressive. Look at Andy Reid chewing the gum. I didn't know that. Has it every game? Or like, is it like this game? Let me think. Well, I'm trying to think. I know the Ravens did start off close. That would be pretty crazy if every game tied at the half. I'm trying to think of yesterday's game, Packers Niners. I know it was close. So yeah, I think they were tied at the half, weren't they? Yeah, just for me, it's like again, if I'm gonna see it on the TV or say whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen. Oh man, yeah, I think that was on purpose. I think we're getting 3 points here. I could be wrong, but you never know. Oh, it's 7-6, still pretty close. Really close game. I don't know way up. That would be interesting. I mentioned this before. Look at all the coaches that have retired in the same time frame. Pretty close to Epstein's list. But no, I don't think it's that. But you have obviously Belichick's the big one, and then mini Belichick with Nick Saban, even though he is older. Both of them retiring at the same time. Very interesting. And didn't another NFL coach just Pete Carroll? So it is interesting. They're all like getting out at this time, right as Dion's bringing in the new guard of coaches. So I do wonder if we're going to see a much different type of coach, maybe like your Dan Campbell type coach, and that might be what we get. So here's where it used to infuriate me when I thought it was real. Watch, let's see if we get the worst time management ever here. So they waste the players with a spike. I would just imagine, like when you're here, you just kneel the ball over and over, like the tush push, because nothing else really makes sense. You have the timeouts, even with Chris Jones. It's so hard to stop Josh Allen on a sneak. You have like three, four of them. Looks like they might be reviewing the play. But yeah, you just hurry up. Don't waste it with a spike and just get those 2 yards. But it's like Philly's the only team who can run it. It looks like they should score a touchdown, but I'm not sure what's going on. I'm just seeing, I don't have the audio on. It looks like they're reviewing whether it's a catch or not. I could be wrong. Yeah, when Saban, they found out Saban's not there. They all transferred. I remember Dion came out and they were like, "Are you a sellout for creating the portal? Like, are you going to make college worse?" And he's like, "Oh, it's going to be better than ever." And if you look at the college fans, they're like, "This is the worst thing that could ever happen to college." And I don't know if I have an opinion on it, to be honest. I mean, they're doing it anyway. I do think that it's going to be very hectic. But yeah, the transfer portal is really interesting. I'm surprised they didn't do it sooner. A lot of things I'm surprised they didn't do sooner, like adding the extra playoff seed in the NFL. Yeah, see, like that's impossible to stop. He's this man's 6'5", and when teams don't run that play and instead they do some stupid counter or like a dumb fade, and it's first and goal and they have timeouts, that's how you know the coach is just selling. It's ridiculous. Three times, 3-3-3. Yeah, that's a good catch. You never know. Also, do you guys think we'll get a Demar sighting, or do you think they're just going to talk about him? Like, just show him on the sideline with his mask and say, "There's Demar," or do you think he might check into a game at some point? Because that would be interesting. Especially against the Ravens, where they've had a couple. Jalen Ferguson died of an overdose. They didn't say what it was. You had Ray Rice or Ray Lewis's son. So a lot of interesting commonalities. Yeah, the coaches definitely they do the same things. Oh, I didn't know that, Steven. That's interesting. I didn't know they had him in the game. I wouldn't be surprised, Neo. Like I don't know if they'd put him that front and center, but I really wouldn't be surprised. They do stuff like that all the time as far as these crazy comeback stories. So yeah, I really, that stands to reason. And yeah, Jibs, Dan Campbell. There's very few coaches slash athletes that I watch outside of wrestlers that I'm impressed with, and he's one of them because he just does a great job of really animating every single emotion, and he doesn't seem to overdo it. He just always has like he has very nuanced acting, and I really appreciate his acting skills. I imagine he might have wrestled or something at some point because he looks like he was in the military to be honest, but he just yeah, he's got very nuanced skills. Yeah, if Demar got a pick six and ran it back, I genuinely wonder. Like, it's like when's that moment going to be when everybody realizes it's scripted? Because right now we probably have like 20% of the fandom, maybe 30. And if you don't believe me, go to ESPN's posts and read what the comments say. Like every third or fourth comment, and this is with ESPN putting bots in and all sorts of stuff to make it look like it's not as big of a deal. Almost every third, fourth person brings up the script writers, not the referees anymore. The fact that it's scripted, it's obviously it's WWE, all these different things. All these other people were calling it rigged when we were calling it scripted, and then they changed. Now they're calling it scripted. I wonder why. The same people that say they don't copy us. It's because I use WWE logic, and the people calling it rigged a while back were saying the referees were rigging the games. You have to think bigger than that. The referees can't do that. They're making, I don't know, teacher salaries, not including the cut they're getting on the side. They're going to just overrule Jerry Jones. Never going to happen. It makes no sense to me. Yeah, yeah, the fun loving drill star. He really is. So, like he's just like the fun uncle. the cool high school coach. He looks like a high school coach, doesn't he? Like every coach we've had in high school, that's what he looks like. But yeah, like he'll kind of roast the guys, but he's also showing some love. I couldn't even find a comparison. I'm trying to think of guys. I had to go all the way back to Hank Stram. I'm like, it kind of reminds me of him. But yeah, he's just a cool dude. I can always respect the good actors. Steven always points out how Josh Allen's just the worst actor. Like this guy will just like start screaming and overreacting to everything. Is that 200,000? That's still good money. Okay, it's not teacher salary. I was being a little facetious, but still, my point is they're making a complete fraction of what these players are making. I don't think a referee would be able to, with that status and 200K is good money, but to be able to completely undermine Jerry Jones, a billionaire. Jerry Jones would have that guy's family all on the opposite end of a firing squad if that referee was out of line. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, that's my point, Jibs. I didn't know they made quite that much. Actually, I thought they would kind of make it seem like they were making less to make their referees seem like these normal everyday people. But it would make sense that they make a good bit of money. But yeah, I knew they weren't making millions. Maybe the head referees are. And again, if we include the kickbacks, they probably are making a lot. But nothing like these athletes, the owners. They're some of the lowest paid. If you look at the coaches, the coach is another one. Nobody questions why coaches are so grossly underpaid compared to players. I think it's the most damning in the NBA where coaches will make players like Popovich will just make players, and the players get so much more than them. I see they're showing Romo. You know what's crazy? Now it's not going to happen because well, it could happen, but Romo's prediction and our prediction, Romo predicted it last year. We predicted it now. 24-20 could happen with just with a slow second half. So would that be amazing if it was 24-20? We predicted the exact score, and it was the same score Romo predicted last year. He's calling this game. Be really interesting. Exactly, Golden Eagle. So they're like that's why they call them officials, in my opinion, not referees. They're officials because they have to officiate. They have to and it's an important distinction because it's not their job to call what they believe. It's their job to call what they are told to call. So they're holding up they're officiating what they're told to do. But there's just no reason that they would be able to do what they wanted and not get reprimanded for it. 700,000. That's for the athlete, right? I remember it used to be like 300,000 because Mike Allstott took $300,000, the veteran minimum a while back. Mahomes is a good actor, except faking injuries. When it comes to faking injuries, he's awful because watch last year's Super Bowl. This man supposedly had a sprained ankle, moderate sprain, and he was running like his dog got lost and he was chasing his dog down the street. I've never seen somebody run that fast. Like you would have really thought his pants were actually literally on fire or the turf owed him money because he was just scampering down the field. And I'm like, this dude supposedly has and then the next play when he's just standing there, not even on his plant foot, he's wincing and grimacing. So he has like the nuances down, but I feel like when it's time to do something, he kind of forgets about the injury and then he sells it again for the camera. Allen and Kelsey running in side by side. Oh yeah, yeah, they all are. That's weird. Maybe it's because I don't pay attention enough, but I've never seen the players all run to the same locker room, and I've never seen them, goose and giggle as they've gone to the. Yeah, this is supposed to be a very competitive game. Like, imagine you're a fan and you're watching this, and you're thinking, "Oh man, Josh Allen, he's out for blood," and then you see him like blowing a kiss to Taylor Swift and just giving Kelsey a hug. That's funny, Steven. I wouldn't have noticed that if you didn't point it out because I looked over and I'm like, "What the hell are they doing?" Look like they just got back from the club together. Yeah, oh yeah, good point. Oh, good point. See, Johnny K, that's what I'm talking about. Johnny K should just start his own channel. Like he picks up on things so quickly. So the only guys that score touchdowns are over there hugging each other, probably saying, "All right, good job. We let you get yours. Now you let us get ours." Touchdown. I'm guessing touchdown, right? So yeah, the only guys with touchdowns are over there hugging each other, running to the locker room together. And Ray Lewis I actually saw something like this. And this is what they do. They bring on your Ray Lewises so they can kind of play damage control, controlled oppo. And he was watching some bad tackling, and then the guys were laughing together. And he's like, if that's me, I missed that tackle. I'm not laughing with that guy. I'm lighting him up the next time. Like, so I think it's gotten more ridiculous with each year. Even the old heads have a hard time watching it, I believe, just like wrestling. They used to actually, even though they weren't hurting each other. Well, no, here's what the best way to describe it. They weren't injuring each other. They were definitely hurting each other. Go watch Bruiser Brody. Like these people would hurt each other. But at the end of the day, it's competition, and sports entertainment being disguised as competition. And if you watch NFL in 2000, those players they were still hitting each other pretty hard. These days, it's like toe tags, and they guide them to the ground. And if it's the quarterback, they pull back, and it's just craziness. Yeah, Shane, I'm hoping we get this. It feels kind of for me. I call what Allen has to do right here is basically it's the best way to put this. Defy the history of my life. So, what do I mean by defy the history of my life? Well, I have horrible luck. I'm just one of those people. People say, "Oh, you create your own luck." I say that's bullshit. If you flip a coin 50 times and I need heads 50 times, I'd get tails 50 times. My point being, for Allen to defy the history of my life, he would have to come in and because the basketball gods always intervene, or and the football gods, they always intervene when we're up. Like we're 5-0, and this is going to be the cherry on top. Oh, we got every game. This is going to be the last one. The gambling gods come in. They say, not so fast. We got to make you look like a little bit of a schmuck here. So you're not going to get this last one. And I know people think I'm joking, but I genuinely believe it. And I'm being a little facetious, of course. But at the end of the day, we always seem to like, whenever we're completely undefeated, that last game always seems to catch us. So I'm hoping Josh Allen defies the history of my life and we come through and we win. And I'll also hit a parlay as a result. And we will get the 4 for 4, which will be nice. One up from a hat trick. Are they both from Pittsburgh too? That's crazy. I didn't even know that. That's another thing. Yeah, it's flag football. That's the best way to put it. You basically grab them anywhere. And have you noticed the jerseys are made so you can't tackle? So you'll grab a quarterback by the jersey, and that shit will pull back like a triple D elastic bra for like 30 feet, and it won't tear or anything. Like I wouldn't be surprised if they were just completely vaselined up as well. But they make it where it's almost impossible to just sack somebody. Like you have to like have like complete control. So they don't do it a lot, but you'll see a guy tug on a guy's jersey, and there's just no give to it. It's just complete rubber. Yeah, what's the live over under at? I'm curious. So the Kansas City favorite in the second half, but not by much. Yeah, Golden Eagle. I noticed it one play because the announcers had to point it out. Because what happened was they have him tucked in. I think that's why they tuck him in the way they do. And it had come up so much you could actually see the guy's shoulder. Like you could see his shoulder pads, and then the defender had his jersey all the way back. And he said something like, "What is that? A Superman cape or something?" But I was like, "Goodness gracious! No wonder these quarterbacks can't get sacked. You can't grab him. That's crazy." Oh, because they got the touchdown. Okay, I think it's going to slow down. I really do. I don't know why, but I think it's going to slow down. But yeah, the jersey is interesting. Watch. Like I want to. I would like to get one of these athletes' jerseys just so I can run some science test on it. Not because I give a shit about their jersey, but I'd run some test on those jerseys because they're made of some very interesting material. Exactly, K. Rob. Remember he left the field against the Giants. Like they had to come out because they had to, run the official last play, and they didn't, and he just left the game, and the Patriots left the game. At least whether it's fake or not, at least they were pretending that they gave a shit. Nowadays they don't. They're like, "Oh, just as another one. Oh well, we'll get him next year." It's halftime. You should be getting focused, getting in your element. And again, Allen and Kelsey are over here just joking around. It'd be like watch again. You don't watch wrestling and see two guys that hate each other or having a fight with each other. In the middle of the fight, start drinking a beer together because you can't suspend your disbelief. I genuinely mean it when I say wrestling is more believable than the the NFL. And I tell people, I say, okay, if you don't think I'm right, then I will pick my favorite WrestleMania match. You pick your favorite Super Bowl. We will somehow find a way to watch them both and see which one looks more realistic. Especially if you pick a Super Bowl in the last 10 years. What's up, K Rob? I'm sorry if I didn't say hey when you came in. A lot of people coming in, but yeah, it's just, in my opinion, it's exactly like the wrestlers, and that's another thing. Good catch. The Twitter, with Twitter, again, the NFL's like years behind WWE. WWE was utilizing Twitter and all this stuff, podcast interviews where they would pretend to hate each other. CM Punk and Seth Rollins did it for years, where now people actually think that Seth Rollins is going to quit over CM Punk when they're probably having beers backstage. But now the NFL players are doing it. Jalen Ramsey started doing it. Sherman deserves credit because he kind of pioneered it, in my opinion. Sherman really pioneered the Twitter trash talk, and and I think I could be wrong. WWE has complete control over their wrestlers' likeness, including their names. So John Cena, even though it's his legal name, is owned by WWE Endeavor now, and he's fine with it. But so are their tweets. So are all their YouTube accounts. Meaning, I think the NFL, it's the same deal. All these tweets that go out are from the NFL, and I don't think they'd be cleared without the NFL saying you could. Here for the halftime, you get the formula. So Trey, oh, I'm glad to see you, man. It's always good to see you. Well, so far, I thought it was going to be like a 24-20 Bills deal, 23-21. Although I do think they'll cover, so I just say look out for something like that. But looking at it now, it might be a little higher, of course. We might be getting like 31-28. I still think it's going to be like a 3-point game. I still think the Bills are going to win. I do like the live under. I know, there's been pretty, easy scoring with not much resistance, but I do think that's going to come to an end pretty soon. I think they're going to have the weather. We haven't had a turnover on downs yet. I don't think we've had a turnover at all yet. We might have. So I think some of that stuff's coming. So I like the live under. I love the Bills to win still. So yeah, I like it. That's another thing. Yeah, the metric. I did think about that at Phoenix. So with the metrics, again, if they lose, they're not defying history, even though they do include the playoffs. They'll be pretty bad. But I just feel like if they had set it at 48, even, okay, it's 2.5 points. What difference does that make? It makes a giant difference. It really does. But when they're set lower than the Packers, Lions, or whatever, or not Lions, Bucks. I'm still in a daze from the last 2 days. Sorry, guys, but Lions Bucks is set higher, and the Bucks are also pretty bad on the over. Then the Chiefs Bills. To me, that's a red flag. So I saw that, so I just went with the under. It's Cena, man. He pulled the Ricky Gervais, George Carlin. They did not want him back because just joking around without even being serious. He just basically called them all a bunch of phony actors and explained how they copied WWE. So yeah, that was great when Cena did that. And I'm glad you gave the channel a chance, K Rob. There's obviously like so much stuff going on these days that makes it, I think, more and more obvious that they are definitely choreographing these games. But yeah, I with Rollins and Punk, yeah, like I feel like especially with Cody going over to that this is a perfect example of how wrestlers use promos. So Cody has a angle going on right now where he's helping a fellow wrestler who fell out with other wrestlers. That wrestler is Jay Uso. He's like, "Oh, I'm pulling my political power to make sure Jay Uso gets a chance," and they're using that WWE story. When in actuality, Cody was helping CM Punk. So you can see they take one situation, just like when CM Punk was pissed off at WWE, all of his pipe bombs were coming from the heart. He was saying things that were true that he really didn't like about the company. They called them shoots. So what wrestlers do is they work actual real life stories into their promos, and that's why they sound so realistic. Whereas these NFL guys are just making up stuff. They're acting, and they don't have acting skills. So that's why they're so shitty, in my opinion. Blazers, yeah, Blazers have been tough. Last year was my worst take of probably the history of my channel when I said Shade on Sharp was going to completely surprise people, and the Blazers were going to go to the. I think I had them going to the Western Conference Finals. I just thought they were going to make a run. I don't know why. It was way before the Dame stuff happened. And to be fair, they had Dame, Ant, and Grant go for 40 points in a single game, all three of them. They started with one of the best records, and I had predicted it before that. But then they just completely crashed and burned. I don't know. I thought they were going to give the Blazers some love. Instead, they did a complete rebuild and basically told Portland to go pound sand. Oh, what's up, Creaky Joints, man? I always tell people this. Creaky Joints is like the literal first comment ever on this channel. He's always when I put out my first ever video, it was a Kobe video, and he basically, he just gave his insight and said, "Hey, what do you think about this?" You know, and whenever we hit resistance, he always gave me encouragement, like, "Hey, man, I think you're great. I always like your channel. Just keep trucking." So I always appreciate the support, Creaky man. I hope you're doing well, and I hope everything's going good for you. And yeah, we did good earlier. I'm glad you like the Bills pick. I'm hoping we go 4 for 4. I brought up earlier. I'm hoping the gambling gods don't intervene and again just kind of say, "Hey, that's too many wins for you, Bucko." But I think we'll be good. Yeah, like K Rob, like that's a perfect eureka moment. I'm trying to think of mine. I know when Allen was playing Mahomes, that comes to mind when I think of like I knew it was scripted. So again, it wasn't that long ago. It was only a couple years. But when I saw that, I was just like, "What the heck is this? Is a movie? This is the replacements," and I think that confirmed it. There were games before that that undoubtedly, the Falcons come are blowing the lead in the NBA, the Warriors blowing the lead, LeBron losing to the Mavericks, and then all these different things. But that one for me is what made it click. And then honestly, it should have clicked with that pass because I think a lot of people at the time just thought, okay, Pete Carroll again. We all wake up to different extents. Pete Carroll's just an idiot, or Pete Carroll blew the game, or they don't like Marshawn Lynch, but they didn't think too deeply. But yeah, I mean that's a perfect time to notice like what is going on. You have the best running back maybe ever outside of like Jerome Bettis and like Larry Zonka at the goal line and you pass the ball. It's just insane. If you want to make your day about 30% better, and I don't care if you leave for a second, that's fine. YouTube Jim Ross Jim Ross. Just type in Jim Ross calls Seahawks Super Bowl. And what they do is they have Jim Ross, the greatest WWE announcer of all time, the greatest announcer of all time, voicing over Russell Wilson screwing up. So you just have all these JR quotes, and it's just hilarious. You just have to watch Jim Ross or JR calls Patriots Seahawks Super Bowl. It's like a 2 minute clip, and it shows them with the infamous pass at the 1 yard line, and you get to hear Jim Ross's reaction that people would put together with like quotes from other things. It's hilarious. Yeah, that's it, Shane. That's like a perfect example. They did it with Riddle and Seth Rollins, or it wasn't exactly the same, but yeah, it'd be like, oh, these two wrestlers, there was like a love triangle in real life, and then they used it for wrestling. Vince McMahon was ruthless. Okay, Vince McMahon used the death of Brian Pillman to start up a feud. He got his wife involved. It was pretty sad, to be honest. It was pretty callous. But my point being, the WWE always will use actual stories and incorporate them into their promos, into their angles. If something's going on in real life, they're just like, well, we'll just do it in the ring. And it comes off very organic. That's why when Cody Rhodes talks, you believe him because he's really talking about, his dad and how he wants to make his dad proud and how he has to finish his story. It's not a sound bite like these NFL guys. And again, some people like one more than the other. I appreciate wrestling just because I think they genuinely go through way more physicality, mentally and physically, than these guys do. Stone Cold, yeah, Stone Cold, Stone Cold. I think Trey, I think I sent you the JR call in the Super Bowl thing. If not, I'm telling you, you guys would love it. Bill's reasoning. The biggest reason was I figured more money would be on the Chiefs. And I'll go into that in 1 second, Peter, because that's another one I want to go into. Uh, the Chiefs is obviously a hard team to fade, but I went with the Bills because I think Allen has to get one over Mahomes. And they have this crazy streak going. So then they go up against the Ravens, and I feel like that was a really nice throw by Mahomes. I have to give him credit. That's an example of how you still need talent. You can't just be like all Brock Purdy's because you have to be able to make these throws. And that was a nice throw. I got to give him credit where it's due. But anyway, as far as the Chiefs, I just feel like the Bills are going to win because you got to give Allen some love. Finally, get him, where he could go to the Super Bowl. The Chiefs have had a pretty rough year. Again, it's all Mahomes, and I think it's going to be the issue where it's like, okay, Mahomes can't do it all by himself. As far as so in plain sight, yeah. So what happened was originally we were in plain sight on that channel, and obviously we got Thanos snapped. But it's because I was covering. I wasn't gonna just cover sports in the beginning. I was covering other things, and then I quickly learned that whether it's you go into Hollywood issues, you go into medical things, there's really not much you can talk about without getting ripped down off YouTube these days. And then I also realized there's so many people telling us stuff that we do know already, right? We know all the corruption in the world, but we can actually make money with this. So people will come to the channel and say like, "Oh, it's scripted. Why do you watch it?" And I'm like, "You clearly never watched my channel, or you would see that I'm saying it's scripted. Therefore, we should pick." Did you just see 31, guys? Did you just see number 31 pull a Mack truck move where he was like in traffic? And instead of continuing the angle, he said, "You know what? I'm going to get behind Patrick Mahomes and chase him from behind." Let's watch the replay together. This is the stuff that look at that bear. It just runs himself out of the play. And this is the stuff the breakdown guys will like take 3 weeks to come together, and then they'll put up this one clip and be like, "Look, we know it's rigged," when we can all see it in live time. I guess Mahomes doing this made the guy think he was going to go the other way. But that was a ridiculous sell job by the Bills, and that's the kind of stuff that if you watch wrestling, you're not going to see a guy go to clothesline a guy and the guy all for his neck. You're going to see the guy resist. There's no resistance here. So I didn't mean to change the subject, but that was one of the worst purposeful misses at a quarterback I've ever seen. And all that defense apparently in practice they played. So, oh yeah, see that's what I'm saying, Golden Eagle. I genuinely think they rehearse these games. That way they can make sure that they don't accidentally. This guy couldn't accidentally tackle Patrick Mahomes here. He had to make sure he ran himself out of the play. They have to make sure the footwork is right. I think there's a lot of pantomiming that's involved. Yeah, yeah. They put Dusty in polka dots, and he still made it work. And then they put Cody in. They made Cody Rhodes an alien from the fifth dimension. And he didn't like the booking, and he made it work. So yeah, this is looking like your typical Chiefs Bills game. I'm a little surprised that they're moving the ball so easy on both sides, just because that over under looked like a trap if I've ever seen one. And I'm wondering if we're going to get a turnover on downs here. This seems like where we might get a turnover on downs. Steven probably already knows the result of the game, but it's 2nd and 8 where I'm at, and I think yeah, there you go, first and goal. Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought we might get a turnover on downs. So Trey, it depends. Like I always go with the pregame odds, and then if I can, obviously, I'll take some live. I don't like to wait just because there's nothing more infuriating than really feeling like I got this, or like we're gonna get this one, and then just say your team goes up 21-0, and then you can't get in at all. But you can always jump in if they go down if you have conviction. So I prefer to get in early, but I definitely think like the Niners, like a lot of these games it definitely warrants getting in live as well. Kelsey did score. Okay, I thought they were gonna do the turnover on downs, but it seemed like a back and forth type deal. 2017. Wondering if we get a punt. We haven't had a punt in a while. I'm not sure if they're gonna keep going back and forth. I still don't. I'm not too worried. Again, I don't think the Bills are in any trouble. Although it is interesting. Is that still now all Kelsey and Allen after they ran into their locker room together? They're both scoring. Yeah, Dusty, he was out, the first wrestler that didn't look the part, but he could talk, and people loved him. And I didn't really, I didn't see him much. I watched more of his older stuff, but I brought my stepfather earlier a bunch of times, and he loved Dusty Rhodes, and so many people love Dusty, and it's crazy how basically every successful wrestler in WWE today is one way responsible, a result of Dusty's mentorship. Yeah, Kelsey, and yeah, we have Allen as well. Yeah, that would have been some crazy odds. See, I have a stupid sports book that won't let me do live action, but yeah, like that would have been a cool one. Like especially with the threes in this game, I always pick the wrong players. I probably would have had somebody else. I would have been like, "Oh, Rasheed Rice is going to do it," but that is pretty crazy. I'm hoping Allen does get that third one, obviously, because I want the under, but of course the Bills is a little more important. Yeah, so Johnny, there's another one. Like I've never heard that, but again, I don't know too much what goes on when they're mic'd up or like I haven't seen too many clips. But yeah, they'll not only talk about it, I'm sure, but the cameraman will zoom in on the relevant person. So it'll be like not even they're not even close to field goal range. There's like 5 minutes on the clock, and they're showing the kicker, and it's like, oh, I wonder if they're going to be kicking a field goal. Where they won't show them, and they wind up punting or scoring a touchdown. So I feel like when it's all predetermined. I'm sure you guys saw the clip by now where I think it was the Penn State quarterback literally got caught saying they just need us to cover the spread. He said it to his team. Like it was like late in the game, and he's like, "Don't worry, they just need us to cover the spread." Like that alone should have been so alarming, and that's why Harbaugh got scapegoated because they wanted to look like up here's one guy cheating instead of the entire committee is corrupt. Yeah, could be right, Golden Eagle. Like I said, it's not a game where I'm like, oh, this team has to win, or we're going to have a bogus NFC AFC championship. I do have conviction in the Bills, but I had way more in say the Lions, way more in the Niners, and then obviously the Ravens. But I still stand by the Bills. But people that told me Chiefs, I told them all like, listen, Mahomes versus the world. I'm not going to act like that's a crazy take. It's certainly not. Yeah, Hard Times is definitely one of the. It's such a relatable one, and it's not. It's like him being him, not being a wrestler. So yeah, one of the greatest promos ever. Obviously, Austin cut some good ones, but as far as just like a real promo, Phoenix, yeah, the Hardest Times is such a great promo. And then you have Jake the Snake cut some great promos, but Dusty's was just like you could get goosebumps if it was like the first time watching that one. Oh gosh, I never liked seeing Pie. 40-13 away. So does he move to 41-13 or 40-14? I'll have to figure that one out. But never a fan when Pi comes into it. I feel like Pi is one case where there's so many commonalities. I don't know if I've seen the Bully of the Woods promo, and I've seen so much wrestling. I might not. Yeah, I know. I might not have seen it. I probably have to check that one out because it doesn't ring a bell. And like I said, I've seen so many wrestling promos, but I'll definitely look at that one. I'm sure if I just type it into YouTube, it'll be right there. Austin Matthews shared a bit with Holmes. Yeah, I didn't. I notice a lot of times that across sports, it seems like these guys share birthdays. I mentioned how a lot of the people that have died recently in the last year, like Jalen Ferguson, all these guys have died on like a 126, a 1206. The 126 is really interesting, and I was wondering what's up with this 126. Kobe, obviously, and then you think about it, 126 is A to Z. So I could be wrong, but it's pretty interesting. Lightning, I'm kind of with you. I feel like the 3 point game is more of a given than the winner itself. So that's a really good call. Like I feel like it's going to be a field goal game. I have Bills obviously, but Chiefs win by 3 at the end certainly would not shock me. I wouldn't be like, "Oh, this must be a dream," you know. I would certainly Mahomes goes to 3-0, they win by 3. Again, you can go both ways with it. I have the Bills, but I see the 3 point game for sure. Maybe even a 2 point game, honestly. Yeah, Dusty was great. So like, there's talkers, there's promos. There's for me like the difference between a talker and a promo. If you look at CM Punk and LA Knight, LA Knight's a promo. He's got the flash. CM Punk's a talker. Even though LA Knight ironically says "Let me talk to you," uh, he's great, and I love LA Knight, but CM Punk just talks, and he's not just using gimmicks and such. And that's like what you're saying about Dusty. He was such a good talker. It doesn't matter what the promo was. He could be talking about his day at the park, and you were engaged. And that's how CM Punk is. That's how Austin was. If he didn't really have a bunch of flashy, gimmicks. Yeah, Austin. He drank beer, but I mean, he didn't do anything nuts. It was just when he talked, the way he said things was funny, and it's like George Carlin in comedy. He's not telling jokes; he's just talking. But it happens to be the way he says it. People are definitely engaged. Okay, so it's Dusty Rhodes cut the bull of the woods. I wasn't sure. I figured it was him, but yeah, I never seen that one. He had a bunch of good ones. Obviously, the hard times one it like pops to the mind and is the one that resonates the most. But I'm gonna check that one out. That one seems a little more edgy, which would be cool. It should be, yeah. And I mean, maybe I'm wrong about Penn State if you're not finding it, but it was quarterback tells team we just need to cover the spread. It was more surfacing on Twitter. I don't know. I don't remember 100% if it was, and I'm pretty sure it was Penn State, but I don't know if it was definitely on YouTube. But they were moving it around like it was really making the way on Twitter, and I figured it made it to YouTube. But I clicked on it, and yeah, he's like, "Don't worry." They were sitting on the bench, and they were in the huddle, and he's like, "They just need us to cover the spread," and sure enough, they did. Golf and Usher have same. Oh, that's interesting. So yeah, whenever they have like similarities there, I know somebody said there was an article where Usher and the other two performers were talking about the Niners. Now I don't know exactly what the extent of it was, but that's what somebody said in my Discord earlier. They said that they were talking about the Niners, and I think they sent me an article like Shane did, and that would be pretty interesting in my opinion. Yeah, you could be right, Lorenzo. It really does. Again, it definitely holds merit that the Swift story they wouldn't want to end. But at the same time, they could run it into next year. They could even say Taylor Swift was a distraction. Obviously, Kelsey's going nuts at this game. But I just feel like they have so many stories. They don't need that story right now. Allen winning is a great story. But again, I'm not going to argue with that. Swift is a draw. And they brought her in for a reason for sure. Yeah, so it's basically still a pick 'em. Yeah, 6 in a row, and yeah, it's Allen's 6 game. The one thing is I did notice the sixes, Lorenzo. It's also the Bills. I think were on a 6 game winning streak. They said so. I noticed like, there's 666. So I don't really know what to do with that all the time because it's like say Baker was in this game. Does that mean Baker's going to win? There's so many things about that, but I have noticed that the six is there as far as ESPN even put it up earlier. They put up Chiefs and could go to 6 straight conference championship. Bills have a 6 straight winning streak. So they went out of their way to say it. And yeah, K Rob, they never said script the way they say it now. They never said every game, oh, they flipped the script. Oh, you couldn't script it any better. Or they joke and say, oh, what do they have in the script? They weren't even acknowledging it. Now the fact that they're saying it all the time, and a lot of times it's in a mocking way, to me tells again all we need to know. They went from denial to the next stage of grief, in my opinion. The new America's team. Is that the Chiefs? Well, they could. Again, I mean, I just don't think every year they're going to the AFC Championship. So the year they don't, I feel like they have to be disappointed pretty heavily. And it would make sense. That's why I actually, coming into the year, I thought they were going to miss the playoffs. I know it sounds crazy. I genuinely thought they were going to miss the playoffs, but it wouldn't shock me if they had an early elimination because a lot of people at this point, you're just conditioned to seeing Mahomes in the playoffs or in the championship. So I could definitely see him losing, to be honest. Yeah, it'd be funny way up. You know what? Now that you mentioned that, I could write a better script in the NFL. Why didn't they have Taylor Swift perform this year? And then they could say, "Oh, both first time ever husband and wife in the Super Bowl working at the same time." To me that just writes itself. It'd be like a Miss Elizabeth and Randy Savage deal. So it's funny you mentioned that because it would be interesting if they had them both in there, having as far as the look at that man face mask. Yeah, a wife and a husband in the Super Bowl. 57, 58. Yeah, well, it's moving up fast, so I definitely feel like it's going to, Vegas is definitely going to adjust to that. It's looking like the 45 might be shot, if I'm being honest, but you never know. They could blank the fourth quarter. We've seen it so many times. That's a good point, JD Davis. I know Mahomes and Hertz are from Texas, and they both went to the Super Bowl last year. Because I was looking at the teams and what like who represents what. They're like Tua's out of Hawaii, and I think one of the guys was from Louisiana. And Lamar is from Florida, and I noticed there's like 4 guys out of Texas, including Mahomes and Hertz, which I found interesting. Yeah, that's another thing, Trey. Like in a political year, there's also that to consider. You have all these different narratives going. They might want to kind of quiet that talk. You never know. It could go so many ways. I'm not sure if it's my cadence or if I might have missed a comment, but yeah, if you're talking about my cadence, it's just monotonous. I don't have like emotion in my voice. It's not by choice, of course. It's just the way I was born. People keep telling me I sound like that one dude from I don't know. He reacts to like dumb people. He has like a huge channel. He reacts to like people who do dumb shit, like creeps and weirdos. The moist dude. I don't know. I've only seen a couple of his videos, but I can't tell you how many times people say like, are you trying to sound like and whatever his name is? It's Charlie. Charlie's his name. Yeah, Charlie. I swear it's like no, I don't think you realize how hard it would be to have a monotonous voice. So I checked him out because I'm like, Nobody sounds like me," and I listened to him, and I'm like, it's weird because he purposely acts sarcastic from what I can tell. Like I think he like has like jokes and such. So like obviously we don't sound the same, but it was weird because I never heard someone have such a dry cadence outside of myself, and I have autism, so that's part of the reason. But yeah, it's pretty weird. I was like listening to it, and I'm like, that is pretty close. Usually people aren't right, but I was like, yeah, he does kind of sound that way when they all talk. Yeah, so I see like they come up, and especially like it's like a guilty pleasure because I watch stupid videos of like Karens and such. And I think that's why I got recommended him because I was looking up these freakouts in public, and he'd be covering them all. And I think he's a funny dude, honestly, because just from what I can see, he's just like just a okay. Is that a touchdown? No, not yet. But yeah, he's just a cool dude from what I can see. But people kept bringing him up to me, so I'm like, is this the same guy? And it is, yeah. And moist critical. Okay, I knew it was something weird. I knew I wouldn't remember the last part. Yeah, hopefully they can pound it in. It's going to screw up our under, but hopefully it. Like I said, if the Bills, if we could split them, I would take that. But yeah, I thought this. Well, I didn't do the under as an official play, but I did suggest it. I did think it would go under. It looked obvious. That's why I said slam it. But we'll have to see what happens. Now, we're almost at the end of the fourth, so we could see 23-20. I believe that was one of the scores I thought we might get. Oh, does he? I didn't. I would have never taken him from a guy from Florida, to be honest. He seems like he's from like California or something. Oh, Tampa, St. Pete. That's funny. I would have never guessed that. Yeah, we're like basically neighbors. A little bit apart, but yeah, he seems like a cool dude. Like I said, I hadn't seen too much of his stuff, but I guess it's the dry cadence. That's all I can think of. I had a bunch of people tell me that. That's what I was thinking, JD. Like, there's no way. Did Duncan never miss? He might not have. But there's no way Brady missed like his third, fourth year in after winning two Super Bowls, or he won one, then missed. He won two more. I feel like Mahomes would get the same treatment. So I thought at one point he has to miss the playoffs. Like to me, it just made sense. I don't know. There's like death, taxes, and nobody's going to be given an impunitive rights. All right, Shane. Yeah, so ads are coming up. It seems like I don't know the last time. I think it was like an hour ago when you told me. But yeah. Oh, hold on. I can skip these mother. So hopefully it skips them for all you guys. I didn't know I could do that. So I think ads during live's kind of weird anyway. It's like you're listening to someone talk, and when you come back, it's not like a video where it brings you to where they were. 57 and a half. That would be really, yeah. I mean, I don't think they're going to just continue scoring at this pace. I really don't. It's still technically under the live under, which is interesting. Or the pregame under. His bro went over there. Is that? Oh, I didn't even know he had a. Yeah, see, I don't know too much about him per se. I just had to figure out like why people kept saying like weird stuff, like not weird stuff, but just like this. I'm like, I know this man, and there's so many people saying like, oh yeah, you guys have the same voice, and I'm like, I've been told I look like people, but never told that someone sounds like me. And then I checked him out, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I know this guy. He's like, got to have one of the bigger channels as far as you just see his face all the time. Whether you like whatever you watch, I guess I guess he falls into like a lot of sectors. It's like a Mr. Beast deal where you're always going to see him. The only thing is that he's not a phony like Mr. Beast, in my opinion. Yeah, 24-20. Well, it'd be 44, right? So it wouldn't be over quite yet. But I mean, that's are you saying the Bills are going to then respond? Or I mean, the Chiefs are going to respond and then make it 28-24? Oh, 800 for him to get it. So is that a rushing touchdown for Patrick Mahomes? That seems like pretty good odds because whenever Mahomes, not whenever, but very, very often when again he's doing a comeback, he will take off and run for like a 30 or a touchdown. So there's a very good chance he could run it in there. I'm smoking two things. I was smoking my Rick Simpson oil pen. This time it's bubblegum Kush, and I'm smoking a cigarette. I know it's very counterintuitive. One's very good for you, one's very bad for you. But yeah, this is just a cool king. I'm surprised they still sell them. Bill scored. Okay, so it's looking like the over might be an inevitable. We still never know. You never know. We might have nothing. But Bills are looking all right. But again, this one's going to be one. We knew this. This is going to be a final 2 minutes. This one's like watching a wrestling match. You know you're not going to have any kind of result in the first, 45 minutes, not even the first 55 minutes. We're going to know the result of this game with less than 10 seconds left, in my opinion. That was a good throw. And that's what I said before with Patrick Mahomes. Like people say, like, oh, you're saying these guys are just, complete schmucks. No, you have to have actual talent, but you also have to have a million other intangibles that go into scripting games. But yeah, that was a good throw. Took like a little downward slider. Yeah, good call on the over. Again, Chiefs suck on the over, so my metrics would typically be there. I just saw 45, and I'm like, Jesus, like there's nobody that's not going to be slamming the over because it's Mahomes and Allen. But as I said before, narratives are always going to reign supreme. They want to give us basically this is like the Super Bowl before the Super Bowl, where they just have these guys always play a 3 point game. It would be interesting if it finished 24-20 though, but probably not going to happen to be honest. Diggs, he's probably hurt. Yeah. Anytime someone McCaffrey scored the other day, and then they were dusting him off on the sidelines, he came back in. But they always like to show how someone might be hurt. Yeah, way up. So I went into this while it's on my mind in Vegas. I'm predicting it now. We're gonna get a strip sack. What do you guys think? We get a strip sack in Vegas in the Super Bowl, and the announcers are gonna giggle about it and say, "Oh, we got a strip on the strip." So I could be wrong, but I really think that's what we're going to get because the announcers can't help themselves and they like stupid puns, and I like stupid puns too. But I have a good feeling that that's exactly what we're going to get, a little sack on the strip. Yeah, way up. And honestly, I could just hear Joe Buck saying it too to Jim Nance or whoever the hell he's with. Like they do it with all sorts of things. And that's why I thought we were going to get Packers Eagles because it would have given us Love Hurts. And to me, that was too good to pass up on, but we'll get that eventually. But they always do that kind of stuff where they're like, they'll use a stupider word and they'll be like, "Oh, how fitting! We got a strip on the strip." Just dumb stuff. Yeah, I think so. I mean, a strip sack's probably going to be a sack for taking the quarterback to fumbles. Probably going to be like plus 300 or something. Just my opinion. Like, it's definitely less likely than an interception. Thanks, Shane. Yeah, I mean, I like puns and I love double entendres. So sometimes they just always pop in my head no matter what. But that was one when I thought about it, I'm like, I can actually see the announcer saying it, a strip on the strip just because they do that kind of nonsense all the time. So, yeah, I feel like we might get that. Hoping we can probably won't be able to run this till the end of the game, unfortunately. I won't be back at the hospital tonight, but I was probably going to get an earlier night's sleep. I should have brought it up in the beginning. I brought it up in my last video because we can go for a little bit more. But basically, I've been running ragged and such. So I expected this stream. I was going to make it a little shorter, but then honestly, I was feeling all right. Haven't got any crazy, text like, so nothing's bad. That's good news. So I figured, unless something were to happen, like that's terrible and I'd have to get off, we can keep it going. But I went into this last stream and Peter brought it up and he sent me a link and it made me feel old as hell because it was like, here are dead hangs to do when you deal with aging, and I'm like, yeah, that's helping, man. But no, I appreciate it. But I sit up here for like 2.5, 3 hours. My back starts locking up, so I just like to bring that up. That way, I'm not like in 20 minutes, just like peace, guys. So I try and answer every question we can. I see when people are fizzling out and like maybe getting tired of me ranting, and then typically, oh, that was it, 2021. That was like the game where I said, you know what? definitely rigged, and that was just my opinion. And yeah, Jibs, doesn't that make perfect sense? We get a strip on the strip. Maybe we see the announcer eating a strip steak at the same time. Maybe Taylor Swift stripping if she's at the game. I could see them going all over with it, just having a lot of fun. Oh, thanks, Stephen. I appreciate it. There's a fine line between like ranting and enunciating, and I try not to do one or the other. I try to enunciate more than ranting. They actually do have the flag football. Wow, but yeah, I just every thought I have, there's like a lot of reasonings behind it. So I like to go into uh, the exact reasoning that I come to the assertions I do. Thanks, Trey. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you all. And it sounds cliche, but if this was like a different community that, of like different people, it wouldn't work because I would be saying things and people would just be being negative and whatever the case may be, spamming. And everyone here, I feel like for the most part, just wants to have fun, watch the games, learn, make money, give out their own insights, and to me, like, why be any other way when we can just have fun? Like, we know it's messed up. We know it's scripted. Like, we're not going to win every game, but the best we could do is make light of it. And also, I love talking about other things. So, like, when people bring up other subjects, I don't mean to get off topic and start ranting about, the Mayans back in the BC era, but I do like to go into a bunch of different topics because I cover this all the time, so it's fun to go into other theories, whether it's rap, whether it's Hollywood, whether it's flat Earth. I'll talk about it all. So I always appreciate that. Seth's injury. Yeah, I do think so, K Rob. It's full circle. So Seth cashed in during WrestleMania. I think Damo might cash in. It'd be interesting. They might pull like an interesting deal because I do think Punk, again, his story is to main event WrestleMania. He doesn't need to win. But I think Priest to let Seth off with the injury, I think Priest is going to cash in. He could fail and Punk wins. It could be a million things. But yeah, I do think he's definitely going to cash. And I think Seth's dropping the belt at WrestleMania. And yeah, Golden Eagle. I probably should. This is literally my because I live in like a really small apartment. This is like my kitchen chair, like that I move over to my room and when I'm doing this. And I have like a universal chair that I take everywhere. So I'm kind of a minimalist, but there are some things that would help me, and I should get a much nicer chair because my back locks up. Yeah, Pete, I saw. Yeah, I had that. Honestly, that wouldn't fit me now. There are certain because I was, not. I think I was like 130, not 130. I was probably like 150. I've always been a rail, and now that I'm hitting the gym, I'm at least not a rail anymore. I'm just normal, and hopefully one day I'll be fit. But my point is, well, I'd say I'm fit, but hopefully one day I'll have the muscle mass. It takes a while for me because I'm an ecto. But yeah, that vest used to fit me perfectly, and now it's like tearing. And if I try and put it on, this is another shirt that used to fit me perfectly. It doesn't really fit me much anymore. I found that out like 30 minutes before the live stream. So that's one thing is like I noticed I was way too skinny before. So now that I'm like the weight I should be, and I'm going to I gotta get new clothes basically. Yeah, I agree. An office chair or something to that extent, like, is definitely uh, whether it's one of those gaming chairs like was brought up, or whether it's just like even a chair where you can just have some give to it. This is a kitchen chair, and I just took a pillow and stuffed it down there. So yeah. Oh, no problem, way up. I'm glad you like it. I'm glad we're having fun. Like I said, I try and see every question. If I didn't answer someone's question, sometimes for some reason, because I'll look at the live recap to make sure everything went well and nobody got left out. And a lot of times, like somebody that will leave, and it's not like someone I like Jake on his burner account who I banned. It's a genuine person, and I don't see their questions, but they'll come up afterwards. I'm not sure why. At this point, I should probably get a moderator soon. It would help me with those things. But yeah, I saw something. Yeah, so Shane, it's like when you're like me and you're just so skinny, like it's like malnourished. You hit the gym for like a week and it looks like your work. So yeah, it's been like a few months now for me. It's honestly, it's the reason I talk about fitness so much because I genuinely think, even though I smoke cigarettes and do things like that, since going back to the gym, just the cardio, just isolating each muscle, getting the blood flowing, clearing your head. I walk to the gym. You could drive, but I like walking because I'll see a bird on the way, and it makes me smile. I'll see a guy walking his dog, and it makes me smile. So I like that. You get the cardio in, you clear your head, and I sleep so much better since I've been going to the gym every day. Not every day, but very few rest days. And again, it's like you don't have time to stress and be sad when you're just constantly doing something. So I do subscribe to that theory. Again, I'm not one of those like motivational people. Like I wake up at 4 in the morning, and by 4:30, I have had my third blowjob and my fourth protein bar. I'm not like that, but I do subscribe to get up. You feel like crap, good. Walk to the gym. I guarantee you, after the gym, you'll feel a little bit better, and that's kind of how I like to live my life. Obviously, easier said than done, and it doesn't have to be the gym. It could be a swimming pool. It could be reading a good book and going on a nice brisk walk. But that's just, how I personally live. Everyone's different. I used to help you with, I'm trying to see what Steven is referring to. You've helped me with a lot of things as far as in the Discord, as far as, so if that, I don't know, like as far as supporting the channel. So I do appreciate it. But yeah, if you can let me know, like specifically if you're talking about something recent, I want to thank you for that too. But yeah, Steven. Oh yeah, you are talking about as a moderator. Yeah, yeah. So that was in the Discord before everything kind of went to crap. Now we got things kind of normalized again. And someone said on the YouTube chats, they said, yeah, you should probably do a moderator because we had a guy in here earlier, and he was cool afterwards. Neo, you might still be in here. But his first question was like, hey, you want to fight Jake in a cage match? And he's like, hey, do you want to fight Jake and help out Zach like you've been helping him out before? And he's asking me about some guy I've never heard of. So like you get people like that, and a moderator's job basically just, make sure that they're not getting out of hand. But I haven't needed it to this point, but there'll be a time, I'm sure, we'll have a lot of people in here as, you start getting more people in the chat, and a bunch of them will be going off at once, which is where the moderator helps. Yeah, it just helps it. I actually thought the opposite would happen, Andrew. I thought she was going to dump him, write the song, and then he was going to lose. But that would be really funny because you imagine a song about being dating a loser who can't win a football game. That would break every record. I'd probably listen to it a million times, and I don't even like Taylor Swift. Okay, so this is. It seems like they just said, "Hey guys, remember 2021? Do that." Like that was like the only instructions these guys were given. Remember 2021 playoffs? People loved it. Do that. Like that. That seems like because this is exactly what's happening. And that's why I said we're not going to know until the very end of this game who's the winner, in my opinion. Oh, that means a lot, Pete. I really appreciate that. I always try and again, I say I guess I have a lot of cliches, but positive vibes is a big deal to me because again, no matter how you're feeling, vibes are real. And if you're like they're like Jim Cornette. Me and Trey talk about Jim Cornette all the time. He he talks about wrestling, and a lot of people like him because he's a great roaster. The problem is, like, if I wake up and listen to Jim Cornette, I'll notice my mood will be worse as my like because it's the first thing I'm listening to is some guy ranting. So, and again, I rant myself, but I try and keep it more lighthearted. And if I listen to someone positive, someone that's like, or I watch a dog eating a banana, I'm in a much better mood. So that's just why I'm always positive. Oh, I appreciate that, Shane. I mute the announcers myself. I can't bear them because something stupid will happen, and then I'll just be waiting for the announcer to say, "Oh, yep, this is what happened here," and explain it to us like with 3-year-olds, or explain why the flag was definitely a flag. And again, I feel like they're just there to explain away the lunacy. Not only that, but again, I don't know. I feel like it's calmer just watching the game than listening to these fans, these poor fans going nuts, not knowing what's going on. And again, the announcers, some of them are just really annoying to listen to. Yeah, Stephen. At this point, yeah, it's already over the pregame spread, and they're just again, it seems like they're just completely repeating 2021. Well, yeah, Stephen, I thought everyone was going to be on the over, but it seems like more. If there was too many people on the over, then obviously they probably would have found a way to keep it lower. So I agree. There must have been a good bit of people on the under. Maybe they were promised like a snowstorm or something, so that's why it happened. I'm not sure. Yeah, Pachero scored. Yeah, he's Pacheco. Yeah, he's been doing it. And again, it's like the two guys that like no receivers, right? Pacheco and Kelsey. So they could be continuing that narrative. Maybe not great for the Bills because then next week they'll say, "Oh, it's all been all Pacheco and Kelsey." Hopefully, for me at least, and for the people that tailed me, Bills get it done, and the narrative will be, "Oh man, Pacheco and Kelsey went nuts, and then Mahomes went nuts, but you got to draft a receiver." Oh man, Shane, I'll tell you my worst beat of all time. Well, it's not my worst beat as far as like money, but it's my worst beat as far as just the odds of it happening. It was a like a six-player NBA prop, and I had like Tyrese Halliburton doing like 30 points. I gave him four assists for Halliburton. I gave him four. It was like minus. No, it couldn't have been four. He gets like 10 a game. I'm trying to think what it was. It was minus 400. So whatever that would be. Maybe it was six assists. And so it was like 30 points, say six assists, because I went way lower than his 10 or whatever the heck it was. I had him getting like five or six rebounds. I had Miles Turner hitting two threes. I had uh, what was his name? Matherin hitting two threes. Every part of it came through except Matherin, or not Matherin, Halliburton to get his assist. And I swear it was like it wasn't four because now that I think about it, that's when I picked Jalen Brunson, and he screwed me because he got exactly four, and I needed him to get over 4.5. But yeah, I needed like a trivial amount of assist out of Halliburton. Like it was right around the five mark, and he finished one assist too short. So that was not fun, of course. Yeah, Johnny's always catching. I'm telling you. Oh yeah, the 58's interesting too because wasn't that the last time the Lions went? So that's I did think about that when people said the Lions. I'm like, well, they said it's been 58 years or 57 years, and last year is Super Bowl 57. So that's pretty interesting. Yeah, Steven, that's exactly what happened in the 2021 playoff game. Diggs, he definitely could score one, honestly. Obviously, they're not holding back as far as paying out. I'm sure people had Pacheco and Kelsey. They both, got theirs. Allen got his. So I could certainly see Diggs getting his. Yeah, so you need 4 yards. I think he'll get the 4 yards if that's what you said he needs. I mean, goodness gracious. I can't imagine he goes the whole quarter without one completion. That would be insanity. I wonder if this will be the first time we don't get. Well, they've been pushing the six for a while now. So will we get our sixth lead change? That's one thing that I'll start to overthink it though. So a lot of times I just kind of look at the concrete stuff. I have game si Oh yeah, that was yeah. Like I said, yeah, I mute these guys too. They're clowns to listen to. Yeah, Josh Allen's like said again. He's another one. Some games and sometimes in the same game. Like earlier, we saw him running through everybody. So it will not be a good sign if we see now all of a sudden, and again, he's still doing it, just running through people. But it won't be a good sign if suddenly he looks all discombobulated in the pocket and when he's running, he's getting tackled like behind the line of scrimmage. That wouldn't be a good sign because that would obviously mean he's like flipping the switch. But it looks like he's still looking pretty good here. I think we're just going to get a bunch of back and forths. Yeah, I think that would make sense as far as Diggs because they had the story with Diggs all year long that, oh, him and Allen aren't getting along. He doesn't like the touches he's getting. He might leave. Sound familiar to Lamar Jackson? Not happy. He might leave. So I could definitely see Diggs getting it done. And as far as, being a part of the reason they win. And again, it forces the narrative. Mahomes had everything, but he didn't have a receiver who could win the game like Diggs can. So yeah, I think yeah, Kansas City, yeah, looks like it's going to be the I can't imagine Buffalo would go for it. Might be the first time we get two. Will this be the first time we get two straight scores by the same team? Or two straight yeah, two straight scores by the same team? Cuz I don't think, I'm trying to think. I think it started off with Buffalo and then just went back and forth. It was 3-0, 3-3. What was it, 10-3? It is, okay. I was curious. I wonder if they do give Kansas City a field goal here. That would be a weird one, 30-30 if something like that happens. 1 point win, so they screw the cover up, but they get the win. I could totally see that happening. Oh, did they get it? They stopped it. That's another one. It's like even if you catch them off guard, do you want to back up fullback or whoever the hell runs this play? I haven't seen it yet because you're like so much ahead of me. But would you rather a backup fullback or Josh Allen? Like it's really weird. Yeah, they got the snap off. Took a lot of time. Yeah, just weird. Seems like a kind of reminds me of Dan Campbell against the Cowboys, where just like bad call in my opinion. And that's the stuff that I feel like people should be. Oh, was he on the field? Maybe he's like a curse or something. Oh, there he is. Yeah, they're showing him run off the field. See, this is what I said would happen too. I'm like, I had my Damar Hamlin theories, and obviously a lot of people do, whether that is even Damar Hamlin. And I said, well, we'll know because they're either going to show us him or we're just going to see him jogging and he's just going to have his helmet on, his mask. Actually, I brought it up at the beginning of the screen. I said, I'll probably have his mask on. You saw he just turned his back to the camera. Like, those are the things that I look for. They did a whole Where's Waldo thing with this guy when he first came out of the, whatever supposedly happened to him. And he wasn't, in my opinion, no picture you could see this man. He's standing there looking like he's going on a trip to the Swiss Alps in that one picture where he came back and he was in the press box. So even here, you saw his face for like half a second. Then he puts his mask up. Now it's cold, I get it. And then he turns his back to the camera. It's just weird. We never really get to see a good couple minutes of the man's face. First and goal. I'm wondering if they go to a timeout here because what are they at the 5? This is typically where they'll do timeouts. It seems like I don't know because they want to get like some public action. I'm guessing something might have happened, Johnny, because maybe you're ahead of me. I know you said, "Wow." I don't know if you were talking about this. Let's see. Did he fumble through the end zone or something? Did, if that's why you said, "Wow," then yeah, is it out of bounds or a touchback? It's going to be close. To me, it looked like a touchback. To overrule it, here's where the referees are going to. These poor referees, they're not going to win this one, but it looks like it's going to be. It should be at least. Oh, that's a touchback, 100%. If the referees do not rule that a touchback, then they just want these refs to burn. Like that's the only possible kind of like conclusion I can come to. It's clearly a touchback. So obviously, if it's not called one, the fans are going to be all over these referees. I kind of do, Phoenix, even though they're slime balls. You know, I feel like everybody should be held equally accountable, and the players never get held accountable. Now, the only other question is, was it definitely a fumble? Yeah, I don't think I think his butt was down, so it might not be a fumble. That's the other thing we have to look at. But anyway, the referees get all the blame is the problem, and the coaches. We just saw the fourth and ridiculous going for it on the punt. To me, that was a ridiculous call. But the fans don't care about that. They care about the referees. So like they should be just as upset at that ridiculous brain dead call, in my opinion. Well, the thing, K Rob, I looked at it again, and it's either 100% a touchback, or it's not a fumble at all. Because from my angle, it looked like his keister might have been on the ground. So it depends. I don't have the announcers on, so if the announcers weren't talking about his butt being on the ground, then it probably will be a touchback. But if the announcers were talking about like oh he might have been down, I think they're going to say he was down because to me it looked like his butt was down. Yeah, the super kicks, JD, with the false finishes. And yeah, I agree, Steven. Whatever, this call is going to be a big call, and the referees are going to be a big part of the reason. Romo saying fumble, then yeah, Romo predicted the exact score of the last game. That bodes well for the Bills. Yeah, it's definitely like I said, it can't be out of bounds. But when I looked at it the last time, I wondered if his butt was down. But he might have been on somebody. But yeah, now they're going to the. You're gonna like was it? Actually, I don't know if I have. Let me see. I was going to be getting off soon anyway, and what I do is I sit down with like a predetermined amount of cigarettes. Here, I got like half one here. We can smoke a little bit of an end together. But no, I don't. If I sit here with a pack, I'll just smoke the whole pack because I'm just a horrible chain smoker. So I'll sit down with like 7 or 8. That way, even though that's still not good, I know I'm not going to continue smoking cigarettes the entire time, but this is what I got left here. It's just a stupid habit, honestly. But yeah, it looks like it should be a touchback, especially with Romo saying it. And I have a good feeling that we're going to get. Yeah, I didn't see him on the body, so that's good if he was on the body. It's definitely going to be a fumble. Yeah, the fake punch would set the whole thing up. It's like nobody's questioning that ridiculous call. Like, it's a close game. You either punt the ball or you go out there with Allen, Diggs, and you run a much better play where your fullback's not starting with it. Okay, Buffalo gets the ball. This stuff, I never know. Like, it always could come down to live action, right? It could be live action. It could be like a million different things. It could simply be there are things that just happen. But to me, that reminds me of the Royal Rumble, where two guys, their feet both touch the ground at the same time. These touchbacks to the end zone. Again, for that to happen, since the second it crosses, you have a touchdown. You have to almost do it on purpose. It's just insane to get it that close. And if you see how he has the ball, he is trying to get it across. It's sold well. It doesn't look like he purposely fumbled it, but it's just a very, very low odds thing of happening. And yeah, Johnny, I mean, I think we all knew this was going to be a wrestling like game. Yeah, they want to keep the live at a certain amount. Yeah, yeah. If anyone did not see that, what K Rob was talking about, Cena was supposed to, or Batista was supposed to win the Royal Rumble. And what happened was Cena and Batista, they both went over the top rope and both their feet touched the ground at the same time. It was unplanned. It was not supposed to happen. Vince was so mad he comes storming out because they couldn't declare a winner, and he tore both of his quads getting in the ring. And then he's sitting down in the ring, throwing a temper tantrum, screaming at them both. I don't know how they both didn't crack up laughing, but Vince McMahon's insane. He was just sitting there on his butt, yelling at him about how they were. You get what did you guys doing? You think you're better than me? Whatever the hell Vince says. You're gonna restart this, and this is bullshit. Just screaming at him, and yeah, they had to restart the match, and he was really pissed. And he tore both quads getting in the ring because he was doing his stupid McMahon strut. And when he got to the ring, he just hit his legs on the pole underneath and tore both his quads. Yeah, it's a classic Vince injury, a classic Vince, injury. I think it was triple Mike. I think it was the first turnover. Well, no, we technically had a turnover on downs doesn't count. So yeah, I think that was the first turnover. We technically had a turnover on downs, but this was the first technical turnover. Yeah, Trey. I look for stuff like that too. They go to a timeout, right? They're in the red zone, everything looking gravy, and then next thing you know, Bill's got the ball. So like I feel like when they go to commercial, it's 100%. It has to be to gather the live action, see where the over unders are at. I think Vegas has a supercomputer in it. There's like a fax machine at NFL HQ. I really do. I think it's that synchronized as far as they have the action and they make sure they have everything covered. So you got okay. So you're hoping to get that nice little mirror hedge. I hope you get it, or window hedge, I should call it, right in the middle of that window. Hopefully you get it, man. Like I said, I'm just hoping the Bills cover, but I'm hoping everyone that played the over unders hit them. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, positive vibes. At the very least, we know what we thought. They're keeping this down to the final minute. It depends. Who's going to get the? Is it going to be the Mahomes drill or the Allen drill? That's really what we're going to see. Like what it's coming down to. Yeah, the timing and breaks, and watch how many offensive linemen start getting famished and tired and fatigued and injured toward the end of this game. There's always these leg cramps and all these things. And again, I think it's just so they can pause and reassess. Yeah, swag. That's always a good one to watch back, just because I had never seen. I thought it was scripted at the time, and maybe it was. But I thought he was just actually like just selling. We have to make sure we get a finish. But the fact that he actually did tear his quads, and all the wrestlers that have come out and told the story have all told the same one. It doesn't seem like it was planned, and it's just another crazy Vince McMahon story. Just like Vince McMahon at the age of 75, looking bigger than The Rock. It's insane. I don't. If they did another fake punt, that would be wacky. That's Dan Campbell. I feel like there's gimmicks in football, so you can do some things, but I feel like two fake punts, they have to reserve that for Dan Campbell. I said this and like I wasn't being sarcastic or I wasn't exaggerating, I should say. I think the Lions might like you know how you start with the ball 3 and out. I could see the Lions going 4th and 10, very first drive, going for it. I really could see that. I think that would be a very Dan Campbell thing, and I think that's going to happen. If they start with the ball, I think on their first fourth down they're going to go for it. Steven's so far ahead of me. Let's see. Josh Allen's still securing the snap where I'm at. I don't have the greatest eyesight as you can tell, but let's see. You'll know if he caught it by the time my slow ass system catches up. Looks like a catch to me. I didn't see any bobble. They're saying no. I didn't see a bobble. So this like he knows if he caught it or not. Let's see, because they'll challenge it obviously if it's close. Oh no. So like I don't know why he would be so adamant. Like he knew he didn't catch it, and they know there's replays. So again, the only reason he'd be acting this adamant because he knows he's not going to steal the catch, right? It has to be because they're acting for the public. Because even if he like pulled one over on the ref and he says, "Okay, you did catch it," they're going to look at it in the replay and see, "Oh no, it moved around, and then you grabbed it again there at the end." So when I see them doing that, like yelling at the refs, like, "Oh, I caught it! I swear I caught it! Challenge it!" They clearly didn't. Like it just makes no sense. So I feel like they're just doing that for the audience's purpose. I don't know. I don't know why, but I almost feel like this is boding pretty good for the Bills because the Chiefs now look like they can't really be stopped. Live action's pretty close to even. It's probably like what plus 170 for the Bills, but they're keeping the Bills in it, but they're not looking great. I don't know. I think the Bills are going to sneak this one at the end. That's just my opinion. Obviously, like I said, I'd like to do the stream through the end of the game. It's just unfortunately my back is starting to give up a little bit. 250. That's exactly what I got the Niners at. So let's see if we should actually look at that. You know, it would take a lot of research, but looking at the Vegas line on a game and then comparing them, and if there's 10 games and on 8 of them a team is plus 250 and they come back and win, it might let us know like the Vegas lines kind of give away if a team's going to come back or not. But yeah, I actually got 260, but for the most part, it was like stuck right around 250 on the Niners when they were losing by 4 right before the missed field goal. Yeah, third down. I feel like again, this one just seems like it's going to come down to the bitter end, meaning probably not in what like 10 o'clock. We probably get the results because 10 minutes in football time is like an hour, obviously. So you're actually 2 downs ahead of me. I don't understand how you're that much ahead of the game. And again, when I'm using my like phone and such, then I get it because it's like okay, my obviously my connection sucks, but I'm going straight through Spectrum. You know, I think I have the 5G setup and all that. So to me, it's just crazy how fast your setup is. I feel like you created some kind of crazy firewall or something. So 3rd and 6 here. I feel like my team never does good on third down conversions, and the opposing team always does good on third down conversions. It's kind of like basketball. I feel like my team never hits the 3 pointers, but the opposing team always hits the 3 pointers. I know it's goofy logic, but I swear. Yeah, Diggs is kind of giving me that vibe, kind of like St. Brown. You know, they wound up winning by what 8, but St. Brown was like doing all right, and they said, "Oh, he's got to step up. He's got to step up," and then he made that nice touchdown catch. So I have a good feeling that Diggs something's going to happen here. Is Gabe Davis even playing? Because I haven't seen his name either. Oh, is there a flag? Yeah. So this is probably going to get interesting. Typically on these, they'll call the illegal contact type deals, but Patty doesn't look too happy, so I'm not sure if it's going to be on Buffalo or not. But they are staying on the field, so maybe it is. Now he looks pretty pissed actually, but they're pointing to Buffalo. I think it's going to be illegal contact, pass interference. A lot of times I feel like they call the illegal contact because and again, what a stupid rule, right? It could be 4th and 97, and you get a 5 yard illegal contact, and it's an automatic first. I see it on plays like pass interference, but this one looks like they're going to call illegal contact. Yeah, and it was before the pass was tipped, so they're probably going to uphold it. I have seen in the past where they just pick up the flag and they're like, there was no foul, but they'll give no explanation, which again is very, very fishy. But yeah, this one they did call. So we'll see what the Chiefs do with it. I'm thinking we might get 30-24, and then the Bills drive down the field. Yeah, 4 yards. I can't imagine you wouldn't get that, Shane. That would be horrible luck if you didn't get those 4 yards. You've needed it for like the whole second half now. That would be insane. 33rd turnover recovered by the season, but wow, that's pretty. I swear they love those three threes. It's insane. They turned it over, huh? Oh, timeout. I thought that was turnover. I'm like, that was a quick turnover. You're really ahead of me. Yeah, timeout. Probably get things right. See where Vegas is at again. Yeah, well, maybe you'll get it. Like I said, 4 yards is crazy. I mean, the guy just needs one catch. Oh, Andy Reid doing a great sell job. He's angry. They didn't get set in time, whatever reason. He's kicking dirt like the baseball umpire. Ready to throw a chair. Andy Reid's a good actor. I'll give him that. Because again, he's very nuanced and he doesn't go crazy all the time. Oh, what the are you talking about Andy Reid, Steven? I think it was just him pretending to be mad. Oh, I didn't see. What? Okay, you're ahead of me, so I'm gonna see what you're talking about right now. I'm guessing he probably would he just take a stupid sack or something. I mean, to be fair, in that situation, I don't know what he could have done, but yeah, I mean, he just kind of launched it out of bounds. But Mahomes, yeah, he does make it look real because like that, it's a safe play. But like, there's so many. I get what Steven's saying because he does have the edge here. He had the edge immediately, but he waited like 2 seconds for the defender to cut him off, and that's the stuff I notice. I notice it more for the defense though, where the defense will have the quarterback dead to rights, and instead of taking the angle like I showed you earlier at number 31, they'll literally just do a U-turn behind them and start chasing him from behind like a cartoon. And I just never understood that. So we'll see. No flag on that one. Here's the play where it's very subtle, Steven, and that's why the referees get you know hit so hard because nobody notices Pat subtly throwing away a down or an offensive lineman holding. Oh, it's Marco says, trust me, this is they basically said, "Hey, remember 2021, that ridiculous game? Just repeat it because it's just been a complete show, in my opinion. It's more ridiculous than WWE. I've never seen especially when you get the Bills and Chiefs together, you're going to get some nonsense. Oh, there goes Patty. I guess he's yeah, no, no, not Superman on that play. So it's really weird. Hopefully Allen doesn't start doing that too because Allen's been running pretty well. So hopefully Allen can run down the field here, score a touchdown. Yeah, so that's another thing when I like a lot of picks I'll go into and someone will say like, "Oh, the public's going to be here or there," but we have to account for all this live action, which probably accounts for more action than pregame these days. So I just have a feeling that there's so much live action coming in that it doesn't matter what the pregame spread was. If you 80% of the money coming in is coming in afterwards, hopefully there's no like muffed punt here. I figured there wasn't, or Steven would have known already. Yeah, the live could be, anything, and then that's the thing. Like people could have been chasing the over to a certain number. Like I said, I think they have supercomputers and stuff like that. Yeah, Marcos, it's well. What I can say is what we do is we basically pick based off the scripts. So we're 3-3 so far. Well, 3-0. We this week we had the Packers covering because we thought they were going to push the Purdy is struggling narrative. We had the Ravens covering because everybody was on the Texans and CJ mentioned Jesus, so I thought he was going to lose. And then here we have we got the Lions cover too. So again, basically just picking based off of what makes the most sense as far as ratings and as far as screwing the public. So yeah, I agree, Marcos. It's completely scripted. I don't watch it for its entertainment value. This one I've been watching so we can kind of see what's going on, but I just watch wrestling these days. And Shane, are you talking about a Mahomes or? Yeah, it could. I think overtime could definitely happen. We haven't had one in a bit, so I don't think we've had one in the playoffs yet, right? 27-27. Yeah, that makes sense. I could definitely see something like that. I thought we might get 31-30. Chiefs get a field goal and then Bills score a touchdown. But and you never even know. Maybe 30-30. They missed the extra point. But this one could definitely go to overtime in my opinion. Yeah, same K Rob. And there's games I don't bet on, or there's games I bet on that I don't watch. I just look for good metrics. But yeah, like I very, very seldom will watch a game because I want to watch the game. I watch it because there's money on it. I watch it because I want to see if they're selling so I know who to pick the next week, etc. 31-27. Yeah, that could be a 58. I know you mentioned that before, so that would match up with the Super Bowl, right? 58. So that one makes sense in my opinion as well. Yeah, that's the thing. It's like in basketball, right? When a team's up like 5 with a couple minutes left, they can hit that 3-point dagger, or they'll turn the ball over, commit dumb penalty, dumb fouls, and just keep the other team in it. Kind of like the Packers missing that field goal the other night. It's just enough for the Niners to eke out the win. So I feel like the Bills get it done, but again, Chiefs Bills, it's not exactly a guarantee call. They do a good job of hiding who's going to win. But yeah, if you guys are cool with it, not to just be abrupt, but I want to make sure there's no questions or theories somebody wanted to bring up. My back starting to lock up. I'd like if this game was 8 more minutes, I'd be fine staying, but we know it's going to be 40 minutes with all the timeouts and all the nonsense and shenanigans and tomfoolery. So I just feel like it's definitely you know, if it'd be like 20 minutes, I could probably hang in there, but my back's going to be shot because we're probably looking at like 4 hours if especially if we get overtime. But if that's cool with you guys, I want to make sure that no one's has anything they want answered. That's what I'm thinking, Shane. You give it to Josh Allen, right? He needs some love. Interesting. Flags on the goalpost left side. So you think there might be something going on there? Because yeah, even with wind on one side, you should still see some kind of breeze for both of the flags. And yeah, Shane, I'm gonna check out the article that you sent me a little bit later. I know I checked, I did get it, so I'm gonna go into that with a video. I saw it was on my Discord, so I'm gonna look into that and all the other stuff. I watched, like I said, sometimes I'll go back just to make sure there's nothing I missed, and sometimes I don't see. Someone will comment and I won't see it for some reason, so I apologize if that's the case. But I try my best to catch all the comments without video. What do you mean by without video? Can you stream somewhere else? Well, I mean, I could. I could just like grab my phone and such. But typically, what happens is I don't eat. I didn't eat much today at all because I came straight from the hospital and then kind of jumped on here. So I usually, when I get off here, get something to eat, rest my back. But I think he was down. But goodness gracious, this is insane. On X, you know what, Shane? I can do that. It would take me a couple days. A, I have to remember my login information. It's a shame. My last one, I told you guys on my last stream how Paris Hilton's like the coolest, only a humble celebrity ever, and she would do live spaces, and I would do live spaces, and she was always in there. She was always fun. She was always talking to everybody. Matthew Lillard from Scream, he'd always join. I built up a nice little celebrity connection group there just because of NFTs. You get into NFTs and crypto, you meet a lot of people, and that account got shut down, which really sucks because I was talking to Paris on there, and again, it's not even like a fanboy type deal. Like I don't look up to celebrities, but I was just shocked how this woman remembered people's names, like everybody, like all these other celebrities. You see people sending them all this crap, like, oh, you're the best, you're amazing. They never respond. She follows people back, she remembers people's stories, she meets up with her fans in public and like gives them gifts. It's insane. And all the stuff the media said about her. But my point is that Twitter account was shut down. I used to love doing the live Twitter spaces, so if you guys are down, we can definitely do a oh, do they? I thought, are you being sarcastic? Because I know Mr. Beast got on Elon saying you make pennies on X, but it might be different with live streams. Tim Donahue, I reached back out to him because it was like a 3-month period. It was when the first one got Thanos snapped, and I was trying to get the second channel going. And I reached out to him several months ago, and then I hadn't talked to him for a bit. And then about 2 months ago, I reached out to him and said, "I'm sorry, it's been a while. I could send you the because he wanted a decent bit of money. I'm not going to lie, which I understand. He's a businessman, but I said I could pay you the first half up front, and then the still before the interview, whether it's like a couple days, a week, I'll send you the next half." And he said, "Yep, that's fine. I'm still down to do an interview." So that'll be really cool, because he, in my opinion, is just people are going to assume, oh, he was a rogue ref, because the NBA has done such a good job of scapegoating him. But he's the guy that came out and told the truth. Hey, it wasn't just me, you know? So, yeah, I feel like it's definitely going to be, in my opinion, a very revealing interview. So I am definitely going to still be doing that. Bad throw to Diggs. Yeah, that sounds like typical Josh Allen, doesn't it? And hopefully yeah, that was pretty, I mean, goodness gracious. He tried to get the man killed. I'm like he was better off not catching that because he was 3 yards and he was going to get nailed with a pretty nice hit there in the cold. But yeah, just a rough hit in general. Yeah, that wasn't a good throw at all. Skip these. But yeah, like I said, not to cut it short, I would love to finish this game out. I just know they're going to have all sorts of shenanigans. My back is it's screaming. I'm not gonna lie. I'm starting to feel old. But gonna get some food. Yeah, now Tim Donahue. Yes, Golden Eagle. I had it all set up on the last channel, and we got shut down. It just didn't work out. So this time around, I reached back out to him, and he said he's still cool to do it. He would answer anything. He said nothing's off limits. So I think it'd be really fun. And during before I do it, I'm gonna see what you guys would like asked. Yeah, that seems like typical Josh Allen fumble. In my opinion, yeah, it just fumbles the ball away. Thanks, Pete. I appreciate it. Yeah, I feel bad because I never like. I feel like with a live stream, it's like a phone call where you're like, oh, I don't want to just say bye, but I want to make sure everybody, if there's a question or anything like that, they all get answered. That's all. Oh my gosh, that play was insane. I'm imagining they're going to go for it here, so we could stick around and watch this fourth down conversion if you guys want, just to see what happens. I mean, if they went for the fake punt, I'd be shocked if they punted it here. That'd be pretty brain dead play. So we'll watch this 4th and 3, and then either way, they got it. You're so far ahead of me. They're still showing the fumble on mine. I don't understand. Oh, Paul. Paul might have Steven. Well, he's close. Paul might be close to Steven. You guys are like somewhere like hanging around Venus as far as your intergalactic waves. I got Josh Allen with his hands in his pockets waiting for the ball. You guys are like, oh yeah, you got it. And I'm like, honestly, I just don't understand how slow my connection is. Was that yeah, nice little play. That's what they should have done on the last fourth down instead of the stupid fake punt. And this is how you know it's just all ridiculous. But yeah, that was nice. Yeah, I'll be doing the interview for sure. And thank you all. I will definitely get some rest. If I sounded tired or anything like that, I've just been running ragged these last couple days. As I said, back and forth to hospitals, things like that. I do appreciate all of you guys that sent well wishes to my stepdad. I believe in all that stuff, and from what I could tell, he's doing well. So that's always good. And all you could do is just kind of know things are going to work out. If they don't, obviously they don't. But I appreciate everybody that was showing love there. So thank you all. I think I'm gonna wrap it up. We're pretty close to pie time, so we can wrap it up here. But I definitely will, Steven. He'll be really happy to know that too. And like I said, he wasn't even responsive yesterday, and now he's able to talk and things like that. So that's always good. So I always just try and think positive thoughts. And this time it worked. Anything can happen, but like I said, they got him moved out of the ICU, so a lot of that stress off of him, and dealt with a lot of doctors that just really frustrate me. But that's just going to be life. So that's just unfortunately a part of life. So we'll have to see what happens there. But yeah, maybe he knows he's not going to win, Steven. That's what I'm thinking. But yeah, again, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you, way up. Thank you to everybody who came. And I always appreciate it. It's always fun. It's always positive. And again, it's because you guys make it awesome. You guys have a lot of cool insights too, where we could talk about not just sports. We can talk about sports, but we can then bullshit about other stuff, which I think makes it the whole thing a much more fun experience. Oh, they got Jay Feely in. Oh, he's reporting. Oh, okay. I thought they meant reporting as eligible. I'm like, Jake Feely doesn't make any sense. They're talking about over the for the announcers. Yeah, so this someone who called overtime earlier, you definitely might be right. Which is why, again, I would love to keep going, but goodness gracious, I'll be looking like the Tin Man if we go through overtime. So yeah, again, thank you all. It really means the world, just because again, obviously a rough couple days, so it's nice to kind of just chill, and watch what we knew was going to be at least an entertaining game, whether we know it's scripted or not. Entertaining game, talk, have fun, and just address all questions people have. So yeah, I hope you guys all have a good night. My next video is probably going to be NBA. I might do a recap on this, but we just talked about it. Obviously the whole game, but sometimes I do my like football recaps and NBA at the same time. So I'll have something out tomorrow for sure. Yeah, we're at the 2 minute warning, which feels like maybe I should just continue through the end. But I feel like the next 2 minutes are going to be at least 30 minutes. So that's the only reason I'm like, you know what? Whatever happens, happens. You guys know who I like. We're going to be still rooting for the Bills together. Steven, I'm rooting for your over to hit. So maybe overtime, Bills get the 3 point win. You never know. I know somebody mentioned the overtime rule change, which I have no idea. So actually, that'll be something I'll be paying very close attention to see how that happens. Awakened, I feel so bad because Shane just needs him to get 4 yards, and obviously, like, there's always a liability where they're like, you're gonna screw over the public. Diggs was that guy. It seems like I wouldn't be surprised if his only catch was like a 1 yard fade for a touchdown, so he doesn't get the yards, but he gets a score. Oh yeah, you have the clip. Okay, so you're looking to be in alright shape because you can get a total of 60 you can get between hopefully 57 and 60 without it happening. Diggs no catches. That's crazy. No catches. I bet you they're gonna say he didn't have many, but he had the one that mattered most, or something. You guys can already hear them saying something. You know what I mean? Something to that effect. It's not how many you have. It's about the importance of the one you do have. Some stupid cliche out of a Dr. Seuss book is what we're gonna get. In my opinion, if Diggs makes this one touchdown catch, which he very well might. Again, we might get overtime. You guys mentioned the threes, 33-30. I mean, kind of writes itself, so we'll have to see what happens. But yeah, I think Bills cover it, obviously. Still hanging with them, and hopefully they get it done. If it's in overtime, it's in overtime, but I'd like them to finish it before then. But again, guys, thank you. Of course, thank you, Pete. Thank you all. Yeah, Floyd, I think they're going to pummel, in my opinion. I wouldn't say pummel just yet. I have to look at a bunch of things. It just seems like they want people on the Lions. Yeah, I hope you both get it. I really do. I hope he gets one big catch and gets it for you both. I want it because I want them to cover, obviously, but I'm hoping you guys get the prop as well. So, with that being said, like I said, take care, happy earnings, and 5 minutes. You want me to just like finish out and see if it goes to overtime? I could do that. I mean, my only like worry is like they're gonna have these stupid timeout, these commercials keep coming, and then it might not go to overtime. Yeah, Paul. Yeah, I could stick around for a few minutes. It's cool. It's fine. And if it goes to overtime, I might. I mean, I'd love to watch overtime with you guys. It just, I'll tell you, this chair is not the greatest, and they have a way of dragging these games out. But yeah, there's a lot of threes, like a million threes I've noticed. So I'm wondering if we get 30-30 or something like that. And yeah, Demar Hamlin yeah, number 3 in on that play. What do we got? Third down? Was it 3rd and 3 or something? I just saw a golf commercial. I want to get back into golf. Someone asked me earlier, I think it was Neo, if I do golf. And we've done pretty good with golf. I just haven't done it this season. I did really bad in the tournament, where like Schefter was given 10 strokes and all that. I did really poorly there. But a couple tournaments before that we got. Third and 9. Yeah, I've noticed that, JD. It's like they're just keeping their opponents in it enough to win the game, but they look like they're in firm control. There's been a couple exceptions, of course, but we just saw it with the Packers. We just saw it kind of with the Bucks. The Bucks were looking good for a bit. It was back and forth. The Chiefs look in control here. I'm trying to get a recognition on how Mahomes looks or how Kelsey looks. It's kind of hard to tell. They're just kind of chilling there. I know someone earlier said Mahomes looks mad, so that could be interesting. Hopefully, Allen doesn't take a sack here. I'm like way behind you guys. Yeah, I just threw it away. So here's going to be a interesting field goal. So I right now the special teams unit isn't even on the field. They missed it already. So it's not just Steven, although he has a much faster connection. My connection's just ridiculously slow because I got him just lining up the kick now. So yeah, not looking great, huh? 9 out. Oh my gosh, yeah. If we saw that stat, then we probably I didn't. Yeah, the 9-9 stat just came up. Not good news. So yeah, probably that's why. And yeah, just off from the beginning. So I can't imagine the Bills aren't going to get the ball back. The question again comes down to: is it going to be something lunacy where it's 30-24 and then they go for the touchdown, or are they going to? Let me. I think I'm watching on CBS too. Yeah, I got it on CBS. It's weird. Or is it going to be 27-27? Or do the Bills not get the ball back? Yeah, I thought so, Swag, too. I really thought we were going to get at least a tie there because then we'd have the Mahomes drill, maybe overtime. What's up, KG, man? So we're still going. I'm probably going to stay a couple more minutes here. I was going to wrap it up, but since I figured we'd do like the first half. Next thing I knew, we were like halfway through the fourth quarter. Next thing I knew, we had like 2 minutes left. So we just figured we'll see the game through. If it goes to overtime, my back might start giving in, but I'll probably just still stay on. So hopefully, it'll be good. Yeah, Marcos. I believe in magnets as well as the uh, the players purposely missing kicks. I've seen them both, but yeah, I feel like I don't know. I feel like I expected him to make that field goal just because they've been copying the 2021 divisional match or whatever match it was, but they should still make it interesting. Oh, they're showing Diggs now. I wonder if he's going to come through. Probably Neo. I mean, I mean, I should say more likely than not if we're going statistically. But I mean, we saw what the Packers just did. We saw a lot of teams where it did not look like they were going to win, and out of nowhere they won. So, oh, you're saying they won? Like, I'm guessing they scored or something because well, that first down does it too, I suppose, huh? Yeah, first down does it. Yeah, so I see what you guys are saying. Yeah, because timeout. I think technically, yeah, they have to call their last timeout. So yeah, that is game. The gambling god stepped in on us, guys. They stepped in and they said you guys aren't going 4 for 4. It's not happening. Not on our watch. Yeah, Jackson. So now the question is, we got Chiefs Ravens. So we'll go into that. Like I said, again, I'm not trying to walk anything back. I hold all of my picks. The Bills, I thought they were going to win, but it's never a game where you're like, oh, there's no way the Chiefs can win. It wasn't really like the other games where it just didn't make sense. Where Lions versus again, we're getting first versus last with Lions versus Niners. Here, both of them made a lot of sense. I really thought they were going to give Allen some props, but obviously they didn't. He's getting the Manning treatment here. Yeah, I'm curious if they would they do it with Taylor Swift here. Yeah, the game's over. Yeah, yeah. Positive vibes. Nothing makes me feel worse than when my pick makes somebody else change their mind and they miss it. I feel really bad when that happens. Like I genuinely do. I don't just throw out picks and say, "Oh, whatever happens, happens," because I really do. Go into everything that I think makes sense. This one was 4 units, so obviously I wish I had done the Lions for 4 units and this one for 2 units. So it was a split on the day, but obviously this one would have been nicer. But yeah, I'd never like when someone misses because they listen to me. Yeah, Shane, like so many people will like say stuff like, "Oh, they changed the script because I was on to them," or just maniacal things. And I just say, no. It's just like I thought Cody was going to win at WrestleMania, but now I understand him losing made more sense because this WrestleMania it's going to be even crazier. Same here, Okay, I thought it was going to be the Bills, but obviously they're going more with the Patrick Mahomes is Josh Allen's daddy, if you will, the new Manning Brady, six straight champion. This team is on. Mahomes versus the world, all that stuff. So I just try and reassess. Uh, there's times I'm stubborn. Like there's teams that will go on losing streaks, and I'll be like, no, I think they're gonna keep winning, or I think they're gonna turn it around. But like last week, once the Texans Browns got out of hand, I'm like, all right, I got to hold the L. Like, what am I gonna do? Pretend I didn't have the Browns? You know? Yeah, that is interesting, Steven. It was an underdog, and that did cost my mind. I was like, well, it technically would be an upset, so it wouldn't be all favorites. But then I'm like, it's the Chiefs. Is it really an upset? So I wound up going with the Bills. But yeah, that was a good catch, Steven. And they have to get past Baltimore, and they certainly can. Again, it's another one where even though I have the Ravens, I said a million times, the NFC is the one I have way more faith in. Is it just me, or is the Niners logo looking a little pinker than usual? Actually, they all looked a little off. Maybe it's my TV's resolution. That Niners logo looked magenta. It didn't look red to me. So I wonder if that was a little bit of a giveaway. So if we get Pat Mahomes, yeah, this first home game or first road game, two number one seeds and two number three seeds. So when I would look into the numbers before, it would just lead me down a rabbit hole because I'd be like, oh, 13, 31, Brock Purdy's 13. And I would just go down this endless rabbit hole. I do think, now I know last year both number one seeds went, which makes me a little less certain on the Ravens and Niners because they're both one seeds. So again, there I stick with the Niners because I just don't think they're going to not make it. And then I wonder, is it going to be Mahomes versus the world? Is it going to be Mahomes versus the entire Niners team? And, Purdy versus Mahomes. Again, Purdy, Lamar, Purdy, Mahomes, they kind of all write themselves. What didn't write itself was like the Packers winning. That would be interesting, Marcos. It's just like I'm only getting involved if my guy's a winner. I could see that. Yeah, a lot of three, all Davis way. Yeah, a lot of threes. Oh, John, yeah, it looked like he was going nuts. So I'm glad you got that, Johnny. Two threes. Yeah, we got so many threes going on. And Al Davis. Yeah, I was like, where did I see Al Davis before? I thought it was All Davis at first. Oh, are they crying? Those poor fans. I feel bad. I mean, these poor guys. I had money on the game. I'm not happy about it, but I mean, to have this much emotion and in 5 minutes, Diggs is going to be laughing about them. You fans. I just see them like I think of Goodfellas, and I just see them around the table cracking the jokes. With the beers, with the meme you see. Making fun of the fans. That's kind of how I see these football players. Yeah, Shane. There's times well, of course, when there's money on the line, there's times I get very frustrated, even knowing it's scripted. It's like, oh, come on, like something has to give. This is just absolute lunacy. But yeah, okay, that 51 and a half, that is pretty crazy that hit. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, it's just like you see how passionate these fans are, and the players just don't care. Yeah, K Rob, it helps. I think it helps with our sanity knowing, okay, it's wrestling. Like, they're gonna do what wrestling does. Again, that's why I made my system where it's very, I do 1 unit, 2 units, 4 unit. It doesn't always work out. Today we had a down day. But since I started 6 weeks ago on the membership site, we're up about 28 units. So there's that. And I do it because I don't even have to watch the games. I just have to know that in the long run the numbers bear out. And as long as the numbers bear out, I'm good. So like if you guys seen any of my videos on the system, actually my very last video and the one before that on YouTube were actually Patreon videos. I just put them on YouTube as well. And I go into my system and you'll see why I use the system. I don't know half these teams. I just pick college spreads because they're traps and such, and it helps so much. I like to watch for the entertainment, and it's nice when we win. but I know we're not beating Vegas at a 65% clip. Just not going to happen, which you need to beat the VIG. So I used the system and it's been working really well. I would have, yeah, it would have, we would have all been nice because if Diggs got it, you guys would have got your props. I would have got my cover, obviously. People would have got their overs. So it worked out for Johnny K though. He got the under 51 and a half, but it's crazy. Kelsey can go nuts and Diggs can't even. So now we can confirm. So this is what I mean. This is why it's important to reassess. I could double down and say the referees screwed us, or I could say now we know Diggs is going to Dallas, right? They're doing something with Diggs. So it's really, for me, it's helpful because now we know for a fact that there's going to be. We saw Diggs sitting there by himself. They planted those seeds. So something's happening with Diggs. So we're already ahead of that story. So I'm not saying I'm not one of those guys. Oh, a loss is better than a win. But I am saying if we reassess instead of just saying like a lot of the other channels, oh, you know what, this is why I did this math wrong, and I would have been right if this didn't happen. Whatever the case is, just look at what's happening. Okay, Diggs was a big talking point. Now it's looking like Diggs is definitely going to be leaving. I could see that, Marcos. They kind of did that not exactly last year, because Hurts is kind of being pushed like Mahomes too. So this time it would be different. It's like each year it's getting a little darker, right? And then maybe the year after they'll go full on, Lamar versus Fields or something. Thanks, Pete. I like to be accountable, and it's funny because I'll have people say like they'll come on like after one of my videos and they'll be like, "Oh, what about that loss? So how's that feel?" And I'm like, I don't know how many times I need to say it. I think they're just messing with me, like just trying to troll me. But I'm like, I'm the first to admit it. Like, if anybody thinks I'm going to go 100%, please don't let me give you that feeling. And yeah, I just try and do my best to get value and reassess. So luckily, like I said, we did well over the course of the wild card weekend. Three out of four, we did good there. Unfortunate. I actually was talking to a friend earlier, one of my friends that does believe it's scripted, and I was like, we're probably going to miss this game because I'm going live for this game. So of course I'll look like a schmuck during my live video. Had I gone live during any other game, it obviously would look better. But I don't care about that kind of stuff. I don't care like if someone's like, "Oh, you got it wrong." Like, again, a lot of people don't. I think it's egos. They just want to be right all the time. But yeah, I could see them doing the Jets next year. Yep, giving Rodgers something. Yeah, I do remember that, Marco. And down, I uh, I remember they did at the time, obviously the Vikings weren't going to go, but the Vikings were still in the playoff picture. Then he went to Baltimore, so that would make sense because we have two cooks now, right? We have a cook on each, but I forget where Cook was before that. To be honest, I know he was obviously with the Minnesota Vikings. I forget where he went after that. Thanks, KG. Yeah, we did good. We picked all spreads, so 3 out of 4 on spreads is definitely good. We didn't just pick money lines. Oh, the Niners are going to win, kind of obvious. But we were able to get it kind of exactly how. And even this, gosh, who was the guy who said? Somebody said this is a 3 point game. I believe it more than I think it was Paul or someone. He said I think it's a 3 point game more than I believe in either team, and I immediately agreed. I'm like, yeah, we know it's a 3 point game. I think it's going to be Buffalo, but that's how obviously scripted it is when you know it's going to be a 3 point game. So it's interesting. Detroit's playing San Francisco, and I just realized Detroit's got the Harbaugh connection because obviously Jim coaches for Michigan. So I found that interesting too. A lot of people are telling me that's why Detroit's going to win, and I'm not sure. You know, I think we just get Baltimore, San Francisco again. I really do, but you never know. Lakers, are the Lakers playing right now, or are you talking about like futures? Yeah, Ravens, Lions, Michigan, exactly. And then if you want to count the Niners, Ravens, because of he used to coach there, right? But it is interesting. Yeah, that's a good point. And again, they were either going to pull the rug on Lamar, and I said this at the beginning of the year. I said they're going to pull the rug on him, or they're going to push him to the moon. And when they didn't pull the rug on him, obviously all that talk in the offseason, oh, he's going to leave, all these things, that's what made me like him. It's like, okay, they're acting like this team's falling apart, and next thing you know, Lamar goes nuts. So, of course, as we learned tonight, fading the Chiefs never something that is a guarantee, but I'm still leaning Lamar. This is gonna mess my OCD up because if you watch my I agree. I agree with the Niners Green Bay. I mean, it worked out perfectly for me, but what a ridiculous way that game ended. This one was more scripted as far as the whole game you could just see beat by beat, but that game was more scripted as far as they just snapped their fingers and decided, okay, now it's time for the Niners to win. Maybe not both of them because they're both first seeds. I could see that. I would concede the Ravens don't go way before the Niners. So I have Niners Chiefs way before I have Ravens Lions. But again, you never know. Yeah, Marco, it's tough. I honestly should have just bet this will be a 3-point game. That would have been the best way. Detroit would be interesting. I definitely agree. I just have a feeling that I don't know. I have a feeling it's going to be the Niners, but as you guys know, I because of gold, because of a lot of different reasons, I've liked the Niners since you know uh, after last year. I've liked them for a while, so it'll be interesting. I'm wondering if Debo misses, and maybe this time McCaffrey doesn't do too well, but maybe they eke it out and just continue that storyline. But I know a lot of people are starting to like Detroit. I think Detroit's a big liability. Is the only problem. Yeah, Mahomes, he's the Brady. He's the new guy, so he's going to be the exception to a lot of rules. I think again, I'd have to look into the spread. I don't know what the spread's going to be. I imagine it's going to be like 3 points. Although you'd think the Ravens would be bigger favorites, they're just not going to do that. But yeah, I have a feeling it's going to be a pretty close spread. Oh, good job. I did too. Yep. So I'm hoping you got good odds like me. I did them, and then I just took the Niners to win it as well. But I like picking the matchup because it pays good odds, and I just thought it was nice. I think they both make sense. The Baltimore coming into the year really flying under the radar. They were hyping up the Jets, all these other teams. So I think Baltimore, San Francisco was a great pick, but obviously back in October. Right now, you could even hedge if you want. I'm a schmuck, so I'm not going to hedge. I'm not going to take the Lions next week like I should, but I'm just holding it. I don't know if you're letting yours ride too. I hope it hits for you. If it means anything to you, from the very beginning of the year, it was just I was very very convinced, with those two teams more so the Niners, but both of them I really just have a feeling. It just seemed like they both had the vibes. We have the Black Apple. This time it's Taylor Swift. All these different things. So yeah, I have a feeling it's going to be them too. Steven, because there's a lot of public action, but there's also liability, right? So there might be a lot of people on the Niners, but if the payout for the Lions is going to be 3 to 4 times the payout the Niners is getting, people are going to look at plus 200 from the Niners and probably, in my opinion, not not like it too much. When they look at the Lions, oh man, I can get plus 600 or whatever it's going to be. You know what I'm saying? So the same reason the Browns, people kept telling me, oh, the Ravens are too obvious. Well, they couldn't have been that obvious because the Browns had the biggest handle. So I think reading the public's not the easiest thing, but not just about how much money's on a game, but it's how much Vegas has to pay out. So if they have to pay out 3 4 times more for the Lions than for the Niners, they actually do better with the Niners. So that's just my opinion. Chiefs Lions, it would definitely wreck. I think it would wreck uh, matchups. Yeah, I don't think like it would really wreck if somebody picked the Lions to win or the Chiefs to win. But I have to admit, I haven't seen many people at all up until apparently like this logo thing changed. Mentioned Chiefs Lions. I've heard Chiefs Cowboys. I've heard Chiefs Niners. That was one of the ones I thought made sense. Mahomes versus the world. If it wasn't the Bills, I've seen a lot of them. I haven't seen Chiefs Lions. I've seen Lions. I said if they're going to do the Lions, you might as well do the Browns with it, right? But yeah, Chiefs Lions would throw things off, but I feel like Niners Ravens just makes sense. And I'll answer these last two before I let you guys go. I don't really have an Instagram. I didn't really do much on there. I don't really know like what to do. I'm not one of those people who just like goes out and like takes pictures of my pina coladas. But I do. I did have one. I had a Twitter. When we got Thanos snapped, our first YouTube channel, since it was connected through Gmail. everything affiliated got wiped with it. So my Twitter was I couldn't get into Twitter, I couldn't get into Instagram, I couldn't get into Facebook. Didn't really care to get back into them anyway. Only use Twitter because of crypto, but I have to remember my login for that. I'm not sure what my login is. That's what I'm thinking, Marco. Like, there's so many bigger stories, and with the live action, with all the props, look what Diggs probably made. On the props alone, took so much money from people. So, I just feel like we can kind of rule out public at this point. If there's a very obvious, line that doesn't make sense, then obviously we factor that in. But I think one game before the Super Bowl, we can kind of rule that part out. Yeah, that could happen. He got 2 and 5, so he'd have 3 and 6 years. I thought what would happen would be he'd have a break, and then he'd get two in a row. But you never know. This might be his two in a row. I still, like the Niners if he were to play them, but I'll be doing a whole video on that. Of course, I'll have a video on who I think's gonna win Chiefs Ravens, and who I think's gonna win the NFC Championship with Lions Niners. Uh, Not easy calls, of course, but yeah, I'm glad we were able to at least do 3 of 4. And I wish we could have came through and gone perfect on the weekend, but unfortunately we didn't. I think so, Shane. I'm leaning Ravens. I've been all year. There's no reason not to now. I agree with the Swift story, and I agree with all that. And who knows? Maybe I'll look at the spread and change my mind. But I still think Ravens Niners makes sense. Thanks. I'm glad you thought it was fun. I had a really fun time myself, and I love doing these. I really do. The time flies. It's really when my back just starts letting me know, "Hey, asshole, you're getting old," and then it's usually around the 3 hour mark. Oh, good job, Trey. Yeah, I kind of split because I had 2 units and 4 units, so took a 2 unit beating today. So nothing crazy. I can certainly live with that. On the weekend, I think I finished up. Well, I finished up 4 units on the weekend because I got 6 yesterday, and then I missed 2 today, so down 4 unit profit on the weekend. Giant gargoyle, that's awesome if you did. We're in the same boat. Yeah, I had them literally preseason pick was Ravens Niners, and again I always bring this up because I don't like to pretend I'm perfect or I knew it all. I even said because I have really bad takes too. I said if it's not the Ravens, I'm looking at the Raiders. I think they're going to do something with the Raiders. Obviously, dead off on that pick, so missed that one. But Ravens Niners makes sense to me. Damn, I wish I had the Yeah, Marco. I wish I had the sound on. Obviously they hit me with a copyright claim because I was on ESPN's site and they showed a highlight for like 2 minutes. So I think if there's sound or anything, they would probably hit me with a claim. But yeah, they'll do that. They'll say, "Oh, this team is unstoppable on this, down and distance. This team's going to have trouble. They're losing, the penetration battle," and usually the opposite will happen. Yeah, I could see that for sure, especially with Lamar. Interesting in Japan. Well, Steven, you've given me some research for tonight because I'm going to be pinned up with my neck, like I said, looking like a scarecrow. But I'm going to look into any kind of Japanese uh, commonalities or Japanese connections with Kansas City, Baltimore, all four of them, to be honest. There might be some we can catch, especially in these political times. Yeah, I think a lot of us like the Niners, Ravens. Maybe not as much beginning of the year because so many people weren't sure about Lamar, but a month or so into the season, I'm sure people had that. Swifties versus Lions. Yeah, I mean that would be pretty crazy. So you never know. And Marco's another one who I've said this before. I've had picks that I've put out, and he's like, "Hey, John, did you know this?" And I'm like, "Oh shit, no." And then I put out another video, and it's basically like, disregard my last video. Marco brought this to my attention. We're going with this team instead. Basically, an audible. And more often than not, he's right. So if you see Marco in the comments, definitely listen to what he says. He definitely knows what he's talking about, as do so many people. Shane, Steve, a lot of people, just Johnny with the gematria. And I'm not even a gematria guy, but or whatever Johnny wants to call it, whether it's numerology, he's on point with that. But Marco's on point with the logical aspect of it, which I appreciate. Yeah, it's a political year in New York Giant. It is interesting. I went into how Joe Flacco got completely annihilated after Donald Trump said Joe Flacco is an elite quarterback. And I'm like, yeah, that's probably why it happened. And Joe Flacco plays for an orange team. There's definitely political connections. We had Joe B play the Rams, Hollywood, the year Biden got in. We had Trump move to Florida and Brady won that year. There's definitely connections, and that's why I appreciate everybody's insights. Yeah, okay, so like numerology combined with yeah, so it's like pattern recognition, and that's what I appreciate about your stuff. It's like really good pattern recognition. Oh yeah, Shane. Well, the thing is, like, even like groups that like are way more whatever term you want to use. I'll just say passionate than us and go into deeper stuff. More often than not, they still tell more truth than the mainstream media. That's just how I look at it. And we're looking at both sides and being objective. People that say, "Oh, it can't be scripted" or whatever, they don't even look at the other side. They don't look at it sports entertainment. They don't look at why are these guys hugging going into the locker room on opposing teams. All this stuff. So they're very closed-minded to it. I don't think adults want to admit they've been duped, like Santa Claus. Telling kids that he's real, and no adult wants to act like they were duped because they've made fun of wrestling fans their whole life. Oh, you think wrestling's not real? Like, imagine doing that and then finding out wrestling's more real than football. People do not want to admit they were made fools of. So that's just my opinion. Most people here, of course, are like, nope, something's up. They tried to fool me. I'm onto it now. So that to me, more power to that because we're admitting, hey, we don't have egos here. We're not geniuses. We're just figuring this out as it goes on, and this doesn't add up. First Take. I don't watch First Take too much, but I do love First Things First. Those guys are hilarious. Ravens, Chiefs, and Bills, Chiefs. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Like, they really do plant the seeds like that. That was weird. That was really weird. Johnny K brought it up. Steven brought it up. They were the only guys with touchdowns, and they literally they had their arms over each other like old war buddies running into the locker room. Just a complete joke. I love pattern relations and pattern recognition, Johnny. You could basically solve almost any problem with that. Yep, that's exactly it. And it's so they can't be sued for competition because people say, "Oh, it's tax purposes." It's not. WWE doesn't get tax breaks for being sports entertainment. They get tax breaks because they have independent contractors and not wrestlers. So yeah, it's just another loophole. Braun, yeah, I haven't checked basketball. I didn't do any NBA today. I had some college plays. I'll have to look into them. I'm gonna check them out in a minute. I was just making sure I didn't miss anything. I appreciate everybody that I was gonna like I said. I think it's good we stayed, finished the game out, got to go over it. Once it got down to overtime, I'm like, let's finish the game out, right? Like, why not? There's no point in leaving now, or not overtime. Once I thought it was going to overtime, last minute of the game, but yeah, I do appreciate everybody, and yeah, Marco, that's another thing. There's people that believe, and I think they rightfully believe, politics is completely rigged, but sports isn't. So they draw the line at sports. The people that wrote Mickey Mouse aren't going to rig sports, but they're going to rig elections. Makes no sense. If politics can be rigged and is, then so is sports. There's just, in my opinion, there's no reason it wouldn't be. Yeah, 1984, maybe The Matrix, some It Lives. Throw a little bit of Terminator. There's a lot of it going on. There's movies people. I think White Squall was one of them that people recommended be watched that pertain to the world we're living in. Obviously, George Carlin will tell you what's going on. You Google George Carlin, you're going to think he's talking about today when he was talking about 30 years ago. It's just insane. But yeah, the world is rigged. That's like a great. It's really that could be a nice catchphrase because it's the truth. We're in a. People say corrupt, but it really is more rigged than anything. It's set up. It's rigged like a three-card Monty. Well, yeah, life. That's another good one. Life is scripted. Like, and that's more of a philosophical one, right? You could take that good either way, right? Like God scripted my life to be great, or our lives are scripted by this shadow government. So I like that one too. Did you guys know? It'll be the last thing I say, just because I don't want to keep rambling. But you just brought up Detroit. Did you guys know Detroit Mercy has not won a game this year? meaning that they are worse than the Pistons. So everyone's talking about the Pistons. Detroit Mercy in college is 0-20. Snowpiercer gin. It's really a show. It shows the higher maybe. Yep, and that's what I like to see. I like to see because I have an idea, of course, but I do like to see that the intricacies that go into it because there's social engineering involved. There's psychological warfare involved. There's so many things that are involved. That's where Carlin knew exactly what they were doing. For me, it just I like looking at that stuff. So Snowpiercer, I'll definitely check that out. Thank you, Marco. If you don't know, I know you were in and out. Yeah, so he was in the ICU. He is out now, so that's good. I appreciate it. I really do. You know, I don't like to come on and people call it trauma dumping, but for me, I just kind of say what's going on in my life, move on. But I just kind of mentioned that, and a lot of people were showing love, and I appreciate it. I love the wishes, and I'll sleep a lot better tonight knowing that he's doing a lot better than he was, and hopefully each day he gets better and better, and it means a lot. It really does. I wouldn't have been easy to do this if I didn't know he was out of the ICU, or if they didn't get his blood pressure was like three. I'm not even exaggerating. His blood pressure was 300 and something over 180 for over 48 hours. This man's blood pressure was well over 200, and they said, "Yeah, we're just gonna watch him. Like, there's nothing. We don't think it's that big of a deal." And it's just insane. Like another specialist came in and he's like, "Who said they're going to watch this? He should have had a stroke 3 times over." So dealing with the doctors was a pain, but I appreciate all you guys. He's got genes. His aunt was in like lived to her 90s. His uncle lived to his hundreds. His uncle could it was 97, and I went to a picnic. I remember he was 97 at the time, and this guy ate like 5 hot dogs, 3 hamburgers, and he was skinnier than me. Like he wasn't like a big guy. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. Genes will take you far. Yeah, Marco, it was insane. The how high his blood pressure was, and they were just like, "Yeah, we'll see what happens." He might have had a stroke. Maybe we should look at it. The blasé attitude, I can't even put into words. So that stressed me out. It pissed me off, but I know how doctors are, unfortunately. But we're doing good now, and I appreciate you all. For that. It means a lot. I don't obviously never fun to deal with that kind of stuff. Yeah, D, I was about to leave, and then a few people were like, "We got a couple minutes left," kind of a little bit of a, wrist twisting, and it was really more me. I was like, you know what, we are down to a few minutes. Let's finish it off, and then of course we kind of recapped the game. So I'm getting off now. I know I said it like 7 times, but I am gonna go now. I just wanted to thank you all. I didn't want to miss anything, and just let you guys know it means the world. Yeah, I was going to. I was going to. I was like at the 3 hour mark. I'm like, my back's giving in, and then next thing I know, we got 2 minutes left, and I'm like, I'm not going to be a wuss. I'm not going to cowardly get off and then not have to face the music if the Bills don't win. So I wanted to make sure we finished out the game once we got that close. Again, nothing wrong with admitting we were wrong. And for the people that had the Chiefs, good call. I know a lot of people told me you're sleeping on Swift, and I did. I wish that was literal, but you know my point. But no, I did sleep on Swift, unfortunately, not in the same way Kelsey does. But I slept on her, and I paid the price. And maybe Kelsey will pay the price soon for sleeping with Swift. Maybe it'll be the Super Bowl, but she's probably going to come into effect. I probably should have paid that more attention. So no problem. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Way Up. Thank you all. If I missed anybody, I'm sorry. I try my best to catch all the comments like live. That's why I do going forward. I'll probably have a moderator for these. So yeah, take care and happy earnings.